What's up? What's up? What's
What's up, girl? What's up? How are you?
up? Good. Hi, I'm Myochi.
And I'm Renee, and welcome to the 40 Spot, where we discuss the highs and lows and everything in between of being 40 years old.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be discussing dating in the 21st century and trying to answer the question, is there pee in there? But first, we're going to get into our While we Were Out segment. This is where we discuss news, entertainment, and personal experiences that have occurred since our last show.
Yes.
What's first?
And if you're just now coming in, we would like to welcome everybody back. To all of our new people, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow us, tell a friend, a coworker, tell everyone that you know to follow us at the 40 Spot on all social media platforms. Also, if you can't watch us when we go live, you can always catch the episodes later on in the week when we post them to wherever you get your podcast. Also, if you want to, you can always support the channel. We on Cash App, baby. $ the 40 spot. So again, while we were out, lots of stuff has happened.
Yes, yes, yes. So first, we want to discuss something major that we've been kind of following here at the 40 Spot. Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn into the Supreme Court on June
Yay.
30th. So we followed it from the beginning with her being on the list of possibles to where she was finally selected and sworn in. We're super excited about that. Um, it's an exciting time. You know, we hope that it means something. This is a lifetime appointment. So hopefully she does justice to this appointment and really has the voice of the people and not just serve her own personal views as some of her
Yes,
counterparts have done. We're just going to go right into what they did.
exactly. So and just letting it be known, she herself did not have a vote in this, right? The
Mhm.
Roe versus Wade. So
Right. She
you
didn't
can
have
be mad at other people. She
a,
ain't had nothing to do with this.
She was
And
sworn after it was overturned.
yes, so and maybe that is why it was such a push and a rush because maybe it would not have went through had she already been appointed. So that's been the big thing that has happened that has been a milestone marker in U.S. history, women's movement, any of that in the last 50-ish years.
Yeah, and
So,
specifically, we didn't say what we're talking about yet, but Roe versus Wade was overturned,
yeah,
and I think it
um,
was a shock to a lot of people. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. It was like, I
I
mean,
wasn't. I wasn't because it has always came up on presidential ballots. It have came up when people have they were in some kind of ways
their platform.
being selected, yeah, for like federal judges because a lot of those federal judges, such as Ketanji Brown Jackson, are nominated and potentially could be a Supreme Court justice, or they work closely with the Supreme Court or the Supreme Courts of each state. So how they feel about those things, it definitely ties in. Um, Also with Myoshi, and myself being healthcare professionals, though that's something where doctors are wondering, what can I do? What can I not do? And it's not that, okay, they themselves or are performing abortions, but what is in the safe realms for them to do to help women that they may have miscarriage or they having issues, you know.
Have the biggest issue are miscarriages where um, the baby's no longer viable, no heartbeat, but the mom has not miscarried. So that is where that big conversation because it's considered an abortion if the fetus has aborted, you know, and
Yeah.
sometimes they need help to move along that process because the fetus is no longer viable or not, you have babies that had heartbeats. You know,
Hmm.
they knew the sex, they had names, and
Yeah.
the idea
Or
that
they know that, if it's further along, the cord has wrapped around the baby's neck, and the baby has since passed away, but the woman's body has not went into labor, so to speak. So it's like, okay, at that point, um, what can they do? What can they not do? Especially in states who have outright um, just said no.
right,
And we have a case of
all
that.
the laws.
Yeah, because
As soon as this went into, as soon as they overturned it, they had these laws that immediately went into action. And you know, a mom who actually was already in the process, she already knew that, okay, if I had this scan, no longer heard the baby's heartbeat, this is playing. She didn't even expect to have to deal with this, knowing what she was going into, and then trying to figure out, what do I do? And
right.
sad. It's sad on so many levels, even besides that, you know, I, I believe a woman should be able to choose to do with their body. And it doesn't matter what I personally believe.
Yes, because I forget if it's North Dakota or South Dakota, but one of the Dakotas, they just outright banned it unless the mother's life is in danger. So any and everything else. So right now they have a 10-year-old young lady that, I ain't gonna say no young lady because they're 10, you far from it.
Hey,
A 10-year-old baby girl
yeah.
who's pregnant by her father. The
Yep.
father ain't in jail though. But then they're forcing this 10-year-old to potentially carry this baby to full term, which who that's a lot on a 10-year-old body that's already growing and developing. But still, why is your daddy still walking around? And that's not the news.
Right. Talk about life. We're so concerned about life, but what about the life of that 10-year-old, or what about the life after uh, the babies are born? And again, it's interesting because it's supposed to be a separation of church and state. So it becomes, it's an interesting that it's this moral conversation of things that should not be a moral conversation.
Well, I think a lot of things because and we're gonna have to do another show just on that because there's so much to unpack. But when you look at the history of Roe versus Wade, um, the foundation of it had nothing to do with religion. And even today, I don't even see this as a religious conversation at all. I don't feel like it's a pro-life or pro-choice. I definitely feel like it's an anti-abortion because a lot of people who sit behind and wave the banner of pro-life, I don't feel like they truly are pro-life because if you are truly pro-life, you're from conception to death.
Right.
You would feel some type of way about the homelessness. You would feel some type of way about 17 million children go to bed hungry every day, and now you even have more because they're not even at school. School is out during the summer, and people, they know, states know, the nation knows that a lot of times kids only get fed at school. So when they're out during the summer, what's happening? Healthcare, education, just all different type of stuff that totals into the the
If
healthy lifestyle. Yes.
to be alive and thriving,
Yes, and some of those people that are the first one, oh, you have a baby. I don't want not one red cent of my money going to help deliver that baby. I don't want none of my money going to um, prenatal care, prenatal vitamins. I don't want none of my money going
you
to
know,
free lunches at school. It shouldn't be going to education. So it's like, no, you really not about life for real life. You just want every person that get pregnant have your baby. But as soon as you pregnant, you need to already have X, Y, and Z. And we all know that a lot of life can happen between conception to birth and from birth to adulthood.
right.
So look at what the pandemic did. A lot of people, they was financially secure. very, very financially secure. And throughout this pandemic, guess what, they have become a whole nother different subset where they out here, they may be begging, they need assistance, and some of those things that they may have been against, now you find yourself a recipient of it. And it's just kind of like, but I need help. This wasn't something that was planned. So a lot of times, some people, with whatever happens to them in their life, it's not planned. So you don't never know what your situation is going to be. And I think the pandemic also helped that. Keep your mouth off of people, because everybody's situation is very, very unique, and people need to say what it is. But we're going to unpack that in another show, and that's the show that you're going to want to know. And if you haven't looked up the history of Roe versus Wade, start there.
Yes,
Start there.
it's very, very interesting.
Yes.
It's honestly more than I thought it was also. But like you said, there's more to unpack. We will unpack it later.
Yes. But moving on along, as far as the history of things, in 1955, there was a warrant for Carolyn Bryant. She was the young white lady who accused Emmett Till of whistling at her. And ultimately, um, as a result of her accusing him, the townspeople, the men's townspeople, they kidnapped him, beat him, killed him, drowned him, and everything. And he was from Chicago. He was a Chicago native, and his mother wanted his body not preserved, like show it how it is,
Right.
and that was on the front cover of Jet magazine, if I'm not mistaken. And so they found the warrant for her in the basement of Mississippi courthouse.
Just sitting there. Interesting.
Serve that warrant, because that lady is still alive.
Yep.
That's the thing. I don't care if she 80 years old. We have seen what people, they've been 80 years old, they were stealing out of store, they will lock you up.
The family has asked for the warrant to be served.
Yes.
Most recently, there was someone who participated in the Holocaust that was arrested. I think he's in his 90s. I might be off with that age. So it is not it's not unheard of. It is very possible. My understanding is that she's actually in hiding. Like,
Ah,
yeah, that she is in hiding because she doesn't want to go to jail.
well, guess what? Whoever is hiding her, one thing I do know, it is something called, concealing like a fugitive. You can go to jail for that too. Also, there's another thing called interfering with the investigation. So all your little family members and stuff, all y'all can be locked up
So I don't know the
because,
process because they found the warrant, but I think a judge has to okay them to go and
well, somebody must have gave her a heads up that, guess what, this warrant about to be served. Because otherwise, what you hiding for? You've been living out your life for the last,
possibility.
since 1955.
Possibility. So, because the reality is, all it takes is one judge to say, "Okay, that's fine," and it goes right to the house. So, I need to hide and figure out what they're gonna do. But that I think that's very interesting. Now, I guess my key word for today that they found it in the basement of the Mississippi courthouse. I feel like somebody found it and was like, "I'm gonna just lay this right here."
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't think it necessarily was lost.
No, it was not. That's my point. It wasn't lost. It was,
Because
I'm
this is
gonna leave
supposed to
this
be
right
a
here and I'm
closed
gonna walk
case.
out.
It-
And if you
yeah,
happen to see it, then you found it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Erica says she feel like that too. Yeah, it wasn't lost. And sometimes some people, there's a shifting in this nation, and this has just been an uncovering phase for the last couple of years, not just with things of civil rights nature, but the Me Too movement, a lot of dirty politics. That's what we already know, but stuff is coming to the forefront. So this is just a stage. Like, guess what, I ain't just snatching back the covers. I'm turning over the mattress, see what's up under there, and then I'm lifting up, because people, they took stuff up under the bed. So guess what? This is just a revealing phase, and
Yeah.
some of these people, guess what? You're gonna have to say what happened. You're going to have to say what happened, and no, it's not going to bring him back. But however, not just with his family, but so many families that have lost loved ones, and they know that the person is still walking around alive, that know that had something to do with it. So now, guess what? Don't lie and think that it ain't gonna come back on you.
Right.
And sometimes it
Um,
take a long time, but we here now.
it may take a long time, and it may take 100 years, as the next thing we're talking about. Because I will say this, just transitioning, that I do believe it is a time of uncovering, and there is a shift um, in the atmosphere. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not just here in the U.S. There's a lot of stuff going on
Yeah.
in the world. Prime ministers resigning, ex prime ministers being assassinated. I mean, like a lot of things going on, but a couple weeks ago, Bruce Beach, which is now known as Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles, has been returned to the rightful owners, the rightful heirs, the Bruce family, uh,
Yes.
and it has been over, well, nearly
One.
100 years since they
Mm,
took the property. It's eminent domain. They took this beachfront property from this family where Black people would go and spend their summers and have a good time, during segregation. And they took this beach, and now they're giving it back. And I think it's the right thing to do. I don't know
exactly.
what caused it. The family has been wanting for a long time, but uh, LA officials, they've done the right thing.
I think that because the family has been very, very persistent and they never stopped. Where this belongs to us, and clearly they had the paperwork, so that lets you know during this process there's been a lot of judges that just I'm
Yeah,
not going to be bothered, and then some of the lawyers they probably have not wanted to take the case, or they taken the case and they realize like, look, I am going up against not
the
just
government.
you. Yes, and it's a long haul, but
This is
at the
very
same,
similar to the family in New York. I think it's
yes,
Seneca Village,
yes,
where they was Central Park, which is now known as Central Park, and they also took that area from a Black family who had it open for Black people to come and enjoy and have resorts and have the beach. That was also taken in eminent domain. You
and
know,
there has been so many other places that we probably have not even heard about. But there's also been places that we do know about where they just, oh, y'all doing too well. Lake Lanier
yep,
down there in Texas. And I will say this, when they flooded that area and those people, black people
that's
there, they don't go to Lake Lanier.
that's
Because
in,
it's like it's haunted. Like
in
them black people
Georgia.
still up under there and they snatching you down.
That's in Georgia.
Oh, I'm sorry. In Georgia,
It's not in
I'm
Texas.
so sorry.
That is
But I want to say it
beautiful.
was
I
a lake like
tried
that.
there, and
It's
I've never been. The very first time when I first moved here, I heard about it. Right, what I hear about it, I was actually googling. I was looking for somewhere to go for the weekend. Somebody told me about like Turtle Island, something like that. Not the point. So I looked up Lake Lanier and I brought it up at work, and they're like, "Don't go there, you're gonna die." And I'm like, "What?" And so they told me these stories, and you look it up, and I swear it is. I mean, it is crazy how every summer someone has come up missing. Like they fell in the water and they literally could not find their body, or they drowned. But like you said, they drowned that land. They covered it in water. I mean, we all know about Tulsa. Um, it's
Rosewood, so many other places. Even during our Black History Month, when I was talking about the first incorporated town in the United States, Princeville, how they gave them absolutely nothing, and they still mad because they created something out of nothing, and they broke levees
yep,
to flood that area once again, and this is in this millennium. So yeah, it's more stories, and this is one thing. There are a lot of families, black families out there that has kept their family history through oral. um Let me tell you what this is, and it did not stop, and we know the power of that because as we look at Alex, oh Lord, why I'm drawing right, the guy who wrote Roots,
Alex Haley.
Alex Haley, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, that they kept that oral history, down through centuries. So if that family did that, they were not the only family that was doing that. And then people, they started digging and they want to know, and all of this other different type of stuff.
Well,
And
that's also the reason for the the goal in breaking up the black family.
hmm
You cannot
hmm
pass down the stories and the generational history and the wealth and the history of the family if you're breaking up the family.
right.
So, someone living in 2022 may not know about what was happening just 50 years ago if the family
hmm
broke off. 100 years ago. I mean, for this family, it was taken nearly 100 years ago.
hmm
So that was also the goal in breaking up the black family because you don't even know what's rightfully yours. You don't know what you're heir to.
that is very, very, very true.
Funny, but it's just like the irony of it all.
Yes, Erica said it's annoying. They always destroy our ish. Just leave us alone. And I think that's the problem when we have been left alone. We still, out of the dust, out of nothingness, we
Right.
we still rise and we create, and it becomes something good. And it's just like, no, if I give you nothing, that's supposed to what it's be. It's supposed to be nothing.
So, you remember the story in New York, that once they took their land, they banned them from buying any more property.
Yes.
So you also knew that, hey, if you did it once, you can do it again. So that tells the story that it wasn't just about, oh, we need this land for something. No,
Yes, and when they look at the wealth gap amongst African Americans and non-African Americans in this history, it is no way humanly possible that you can take away um the what has actually taken place, as far as they had laws that would penalize companies from selling land,
yep.
selling homes, even building supplies for you to build your own anything, um, and heavily penalize them. So when you have those type of things happening, um, of course you're going to get a wealth gap. And then as more people migrated over here from other countries, it was something called a homestead act, where they gave them land, gave them money, and gave them a substantial amount of land that already put them, to a point where it's like, guess what, we can cultivate this land. We can start our own businesses. We can do all these other things, where that was not that thing that had to happen. And after slavery was abolished and through the Reconstruction period, which was just a short amount of time, Black people was doing very, very well. And then it was just like, oh no, we got to stop this. And then construction ended, and that's when you ushered in sharecropping to set people back, and Jim Crow to set people back. And still, even now, if you haven't, you need to read the book, The New Jim Crow, to realize like what new laws that they have and what amendments of old laws they have that still prevent, and people, they know even to this day there still is you know getting business licenses, business loans, and just regular private loans and stuff like that. They don't loan to us the amount and everything, and considering how many of us are college educated and degreed up and everything like that, and then you look at what they have versus their counterparts, it still is significant. We still know that there's a significant salary gap on the same job doing the same exact thing still in this day 2022. So until you get all that stuff corrected, it's always going to be a wealth gap. And it's historic. It's historic from the 1800s,
It is.
late 1800s. So leave us alone and we'll rise, we'll do good. The thing is, if you feel you can't do this unless you feel like we the competition. That's just all that is to it. But that's another show for another day.
Yes. So moving into some entertainment news. So a week or so ago, there was a versus battle.
Ooh.
It was one for the books and not because of the singing.
It was because of the singing. Because
Well,
singing can be for good or for bad.
but it wasn't like, oh my God. It was Omarion and Mario, which kind of is our generation. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew the majority. Now, I knew pretty much all of Mario's songs.
Yeah.
Mario, not so much. I knew a lot of his things that hit the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a tip as we were getting older when they were coming out. Like we were in our
Right.
20s. So
We was late teens, early 20s, so but they had that younger fan base, but they still had some hits now and stuff.
so they had
Erica says she didn't watch. Girl, go back and watch it on the replay. Honey, it's so funny.
hilarious. Like I was hollering at different points of the versus battle. So what's
I watched
interesting,
it.
so versus initially when they started, it was just two people or groups coming up and they would play the hits. It was hit for hit, right? And you just listen.
Yes, and they was in like kind of how we are right now. They was just in their home with their phone or in their studio, and they just playing songs. They made do the chorus, but it really wasn't a battle. It was
So
just kind of like a night of good music, and they was just the camaraderie was very nice. But now the
they're doing
shade is
it's like you're singing, right? You're performing your music, so singing or rapping, whatever. And I don't know if Omarion got the message about the singing part. Ray J was like an opener.
so at the beginning they had
There was somebody else, Jeremiah.
the Jeremiah.
Out at one point,
And
but
I would say this: I have
now
seen
not really.
Jeremiah in concert before. What it was the Scream tour back in the day with Mindless Behavior. That was the first concert I ever sent to my had my son took my son, me and my friend. Oh my God, let me tell you, kids can scream, and I'm not scream, squeal when you have
So,
thousands of
were they
squealers.
singing or was it a track? What do you think?
I'm now we didn't have the best seats. I'm gonna say everybody sounded good, but I
So
think
it was definitely
because
a track.
too,
If everybody sounded good, those it
and
was.
this was like when the OMG girls and stuff like that, like it was a cute little concert. I will say that, and because all of them was very new, I was not. I was there, for my son because that was like part of his Christmas present and stuff like that. So he was just mind blown. But from what I can remember, Jeremiah, he did sing, and it wasn't just like specifically what his songs was. You know what I'm saying? So he did a few little covers, little small little covers of some other people's stuff, and you could see his vocal ability or whatever.
Was it a track though? You still don't know just because you
That is true. That is true.
know.
I don't know, but I'm just gonna say based off of that, it could have been. But the Jeremiah that we know him today, um, before this versus battle, what he wasn't singing very provocative because he was a kid himself. So the kid, the fan base was very tween and early teens and stuff like that. So it was like this little kitty pop, whatever, but it was still cute. So I became a fan of
Compare the two then, because bringing
exactly.
were
But
younger.
it made me a fan of
Oh,
him from that concert because prior to that concert, I had not heard of him before.
mhm.
Honestly, so it was just like, okay, this little young boy, he can sing, and as he grew, it's just like, okay, the content of his songs changed, and it's just like, all right, I like this. He seemed like he could be the new wave of R&B. But let me tell you, that wave just crashed all the way down. It was him, Pleasure P, um,
Sammy
uh, Sammy,
and
and Ray
what
J.
else the openers? This is just
Yes.
for me.
So they had their own little battle. So it was like Sammy and Ray J versus Pleasure P and Jeremiah. Now, of all four of them, Sammy held his own. And
Sammy
you know what? I
for
want to say Sammy might have been on that ticket too. He may have been on
a
that
very
ticket.
long time, and he's been. So I think I follow him on IG, and I know that he is consistently sinking, meaning like doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Um, so I would just say this because this is what I feel like. I feel like it was like, bet we about to go to verses, and they just showed up. You know, even Ray J. So Brandy, Brandy wrote under his picture was like, "You didn't listen to me. That's what you get for not listening to me. Mama told me you was talking all day. You didn't drink the tea I gave you." And so basically clowning him like, "You just got up there." And I think it's
Because they went in on her. So it's just like, let me tell y'all, look, I tried to help him because they went in on her because Petty King on IG, oh my God, he was already making content before the show was over.
really go on Brandy. Brandy don't have nothing to do with Ray.
Because they had showed like little clips of Ray J doing whatever he was doing, just hollering and stuff. And then she was just like this. And just looking like, oh my God, this is bad. And then just like, no, I'm trying to hype him up because that's my brother and stuff like that. And then, people was like, if you watched it live and you was looking at the comments, the people in the comments didn't hold back at all. Like as soon as, because when he was out there holding his son, said, "See, the baby don't even want to be bothered with you because the baby never did."
I will say this. If Ray J doesn't do anything else, he entertains.
Oh,
He's an
absolutely.
entertainer. He is, listen, he's switching hats, glasses. He went and got the baby. He said, boom, prop. Let me get another prop out here. It was
Like people want to boo you with your baby, and people when they were saying, "Oh, I wish this had been Showtime at the Apollo," meaning like they would have booed them off of there. It was just like, "What is you doing?" And then they were sitting there saying they was using them sugar boogers. It was like, see, this is what happened when appeals. Like people, they was giving them out. Like if you come out and you say, "Look, I was back there and I was getting towed up in the background." Guess what? I think people they were like,
they
"That's what
all
we
were.
knew."
They all were. Like they all were. Honestly, they all were. Because they came out like bed. They just were having a ball. I will
Yeah,
say it was a point. So it was during the versus part where it's Amarion and Mario. We still need to talk about them too. Their actual battle. But Amarion brought Jeremiah out for a song. I guess they had a collab on. And once the song was over, Jeremiah was about to like sing his other stuff. Mario says, "Don't do it. Don't do it." And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was hilarious.
meaning like I already have
Like,
heard what you said,
young
and let
disrespect.
me tell you, they wasn't doing that. Stephanie Mia Shaka Khan, where Shaka. One thing I will say, now she might have been messed up as far as drunk, but her vocals you cannot say that she sounded bad because they say this was before auto tune. Like these people, as I say, they everybody be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, and they have to record that stuff 50 times to sell 50 tapes. She is undeniable. But Stephanie Mills, because they had that teleprompter, she went on here and she was singing like, guess what? I'm finna help my sister. I'm not finna have her looking crazy out here. They ain't do that.
Tammy and Pleasure P tried to help Ray J out. He got mad. They like, one wish, one wish. He looking like, what? I don't need no help. Yes, you do.
You need all the help. Brandy, can you come and help your brother? Brandy, at this point, guess what? We would have preferred to hear one of your little poems that you had wrote from your little notebook.
Oh, that's funny. But
We didn't appreciate it when it was you and Monica, but we appreciate it now. Like at this point, just sound him out and pull her microphone on up.
listen,
One time I was back here with 16 years old. Girl, we would have
listen.
guess what? You could have been spoken word all day because
Only
this
to Amarion and Mario. Omarion, I think, prepared in a way that he didn't realize what verses was.
I honestly believe so.
He danced. He brought out the what was that?
Yeah,
the
the little
you
dance
got
routine
served.
everybody was doing. He did that.
Is that the name of
Huh?
the movie You Got Served? I
I
don't think.
want to
Shoot, I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, so whatever movie he was in and he was dancing, he brought out the folks and they juking and they had a clown. People in the comments was like, look at that clown. That's exactly what they need is a clown. I mean,
But it what they were talking about him being a
Brother, I
clown.
know it was talking about him being a clown. At one point, Mario brings out his brother. He literally says, "I'm gonna bring my brother to the stage." You thinking they're about to do a duet? No, they pull out watermelons and start being very provocative and licking them. And it was at that point that I think I started texting people like, "Are you watching Versus?"
Yes,
Because
you said to me,
I
I was like, I am. I,
believe that that is like, and maybe after
at this point, it
it
was
was
no
like,
save.
what's going on?
Even when they even let's bring it back. Even when I forget who it was had brought out Tank.
I'm
Tank
already
sounded good. Yep.
Tank
Tank
wrote,
sounded great.
right, and Tank wrote. So he brought out Tank because Tank wrote the song "Oh,"
Yeah.
right. He brought
Hmm.
Tank up, and Tank starts singing. It's like he was pulling at straws. To I don't know. The comments at that point were horrible. So he probably was honestly trying to make it better. But for him to have watermelon ready for him and his brother, they talked about that. That was a plan, and they said we about to kill him with this.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
And you did. It just went in a good way.
No, like I don't understand why.
And then now you got these people, you got some people that's being funny, doing the same thing with the watermelon. You got some people just like, nah, I can do it better. And it's just like, yeah, I put that watermelon down. I trust me, I love watermelon, but I know the racial connotation to it. It's just like put it down because we don't need nothing else to add to our repertoire of stereotypes and stuff like this. Like you can't sing and you're eating watermelon and going on spitting seeds. Like put this shit down.
It
Like
it was wild. Erica, so since you did not see it, Mario hands down won. He
yes,
definitely won. He had the vocal ability. There was a couple times
consistently.
consistently, right? There was a couple times Mario looking at his mic like, "What's wrong with this mic?" Maybe he couldn't hear himself, and that as a singer, that can block you. However, what Mario did, when you could tell that I want y'all to know that I'm singing these songs, he made them stop playing music, and then he sang a little ditty. It was very interesting. If you can, go back and watch it. It is hilarious, very entertaining.
Yes.
It was
And
worth the time. It was absolutely worth
watch it from start to finish. Like, you know, because I watched it at the beginning where they started out with the DJ. The DJ had the crowd hype, whatever, like that. Everybody else that came out, it was just like, okay, this is good. And even the stuff that they were saying, it was very, very funny. And then when it was just like, man, the show ain't gonna get no better. We the better show. Honestly, because they was all over the place. The first part of the show, it definitely was way more entertaining because I think because it was just a free for all. It was just like, somebody need to cut people microphone off because you can't have everybody
You know
talking
what
at
it
the
reminded me of?
same
I
time.
remember that episode in Martin when he went on the Varnell, what is it, Varnell Hill? So and Jodeci was on there. He like, oh yeah. That is what it reminded me of. Yes,
Yes,
it reminded.
yes. It was definitely, if you didn't know that these people was celebrities for their singing, you definitely would have thought, oh, this is the backstage or whatever kind of rehearsals for American Idol, and these are people who they gonna just be like, you know what, they can't sing, they can't sing. Well, maybe they got the look or whatever, but when you watching it, you hearing all this, but it's a lot of stuff that's going on in it. But when like you look at those clips and when you really like, he said that Mario, he was killing with the shady comments.
Oh, he was.
Oh my God, he really was. But then, at the end, he was like, it's nothing but love. Like, I appreciate you or whatever, like that, and your contribution. But your contribution has really been diminished based off of what they've seen. And I think sometimes people, they know, hey, like this is versus, everybody is say yesterday's price ain't today's price afterwards. But to me, there need to be a sale on some of them 75%. I'm not even
It's
50%.
like that statement is still true. However, it's a discount.
Right. I should be able to get for 50 cents. I should be able to get 4 tracks.
Child.
Seriously. I need to get 4 tracks for 50 cents. And really and truthfully, it's just like I don't even want that because I don't know who's singing on these tracks now. Because clearly when you was in the video and stuff, but I think they like other people who have did commentary that I watched and they said, hey, it's versus battle is not about your performance and your stage presence. It's about all of the above. Because I remember when they did the Locks versus Dipset, the Locks came out there and gave it, even though the people had not seen him in a while. It was like he could have held it on by himself without his group
Yep.
because he came with it. And then now you see it was an explosion. So it's just like, if this is my one shot,
I
I'm
want to
coming
get
with
on the
it.
program. Get
Like,
me on the program. I'm ready. Sign me.
exactly. Like it's a for real battle. Like, nah, like yeah, we finna be talking noise. It's just like a domino or a spade game. We talking noise back and forth across the table and everything. But guess what? I got hit for hits and stuff like that. And I definitely think for people that sings, you have to be on point because like if you're a rapper, you better know your lyrics, but it's not so much of okay, you can sit out there and forget your lines and hold the microphone out there for everybody else to sing it, to rap it, but you a rapper.
Right.
But a singer and then you saying you R&B, they're just like, okay, I'm gonna try to sing this Whitney song. Mm,
You don't
can
want
you? Can you sing this Whitney Houston song?
me. So, now we're gonna talk about somebody who can sing. Renee, I got a
Mhm.
question.
Yes.
Where was Usher at 7 o'clock?
On the dot,
Mm-hmm.
hitting the streets.
Where was he though?
When was it? When
Where
was the
was
song? Oh, he was in his drop top.
There you go. He
He
was
was
in
in the
the
street.
stop, cruising the streets, honey. First of all, Usher is and will always be my boyfriend.
I didn't
Okay.
know that was your birthday.
I have loved him. I can remember seeing Usher on Arsenio Hall. Okay, this is when he first
Oh
came out.
wow, he's a
He was a
baby.
little, he was a little chubby too. I remember when he very first
Yeah.
had a little chunk. I was like, oh my god, I love him. I still love him. That smile. Oh, that razzle dazzle.
Yes, he does have an infectious smile. Like he has a great smile. Like when you see it, just can't help but like be happy and smile too.
Yes.
I give him that. Yes.
So Usher, if you haven't seen it, Usher did a Tiny Desk performance on NPR. Oh, one of the best 20 minutes.
Oh, he did. He did good. I've been watching before, like they did Tiny Desk before the pandemic and stuff. I've been watching them, and like you just get on to people who you never even known or whatever like that. Love that, and to me, it's just such an intimate ceremony, and you really can just see them. He killed it. He was one of my. He's up in my top 10.
Like it was so funny when he asked that question. He said, "Yo, where was Usher at 7 o'clock?" It was like, he know about the trend, but he did so good. He hit all the notes. There's so many memes for the song when he said, "Watch that, watch that." It's
Oh
like
my god,
all fit. Like it's the gift that keeps on giving. He is. He's the gift
yes,
that keeps on giving. If you haven't seen it, this is just hey, go watch. I think it's on YouTube. Go
it
watch
is.
it.
It
It is
is.
like one of the best 20-25 minutes. Here's a plug. I get nothing for this, but if you didn't know, he is back in Vegas until October. I am
Yes.
trying to go. Okay,
Oh
I am
yeah, we
trying
should
to
go.
go.
We
Like
should go in
no,
an hour for my
serious.
birthday. My
Listen,
birthday coming up.
listen.
What
I'm
you doing?
to go. I finished school in October, and I'm going to Vegas, and I'm going to see Usher. I'm going to see him. I have never seen him live. No, I did. I saw him live with Beyonce. he like performed here.
Open up.
Yeah, when Beyonce performed here.
But
So
let me tell you this. People, I don't feel like he slept on. I do not think that
no,
at all whatsoever, because he almost matched when that year, I think it was the Michael Jackson Bad album, when Michael Jackson, he swept the Grammys every category.
that was
He
Confessions. That Confessions
No, I'm talking about when Michael Jackson had got it.
album.
That was what Usher was trying to do, and he missed it. I think maybe by 2 Grammys, but still, ain't nobody else did it other than Michael Jackson. You right up under that person, and for him to be as young. But I remember
That's what I'm
when,
saying. I think he did that with the Confessions album.
yes, yes. But let me tell you this, a little known history fact. So in
Okay.
Greenville, South Carolina, they opened up the Balo Center, which is, you know, a big auditorium style, like the Staples Center or whatever. Huge. One of the first acts they brought. They was able to bring Janet Jackson, but guess
Really?
who? Yes, this was the Velvet Rope tour. Couldn't get
Mm.
no tickets because I was trying to get it. I was the freshman. I had a ride. Even if I didn't have no ride, I just knew I could just get there. He opened up for her. He opened up for the Janet Jackson Velvet Rope Tour, Bilo Center, Greenville, South Carolina.
Hmm.
That was huge then, that you were able to open up for her.
A big
But he was well known, but still, it was just like, how many more people became a fan of his?
mm-hmm.
Because Janet, like the Jacksons in itself, it don't matter what genre of music you prefer. People, they are solid fans of hers.
Right.
Period. So it's just like, you open up for her. You was a little bitty thing. You was like in your early 20s.
It was. I remember when Velvet Rope came out. How old was I? I was
Yes.
early 20s because we were, he's in our 40s.
Well, I was a little bit older, so I was like a freshman in college. I
Mm.
remember I was a freshman in college because I was still in Columbia, South Carolina, at the time. So I was a freshman in college, and I remember everybody wanted one of those little red. People was going out buying a pack of red hair, and it was pinning in that red because everybody, we got to be like Janet. Like Janet Jackson had us wearing a hoop with a key on it. She a style icon. Like, I don't care. Like, let me tell you, she made it, that tomboy look kind of sexy. It's just like Rhythm Nation. Like, you just stop going like this. Like, she gave you a whole new way to do a 5 countdown. Right. Like, her and her brother may having a glove on. Like, baby, you can do some things with a glove on. Don't underestimate them. But like, and one of his new albums or something, songs that he dropped, because they said like his Vegas show, he does a lot of skating and stuff on there, that
Yeah.
he has that in there. And I'm just like, that's even phenomenal, because it's like everybody, like especially in the South, going to the skating ring is always like, oh my God, I just want to go to the skating ring on the weekend or whatever. So he just brought that back, and then he's doing it like, and to get a Vegas residency is big. You
And
ain't getting that for
I'll be
nothing.
honest, I think it's going to probably go longer than October. I remember when Celine Dion was out there. She was out there for 2 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking that may happen because his Vegas show was supposed to be over sometime last year. And then they extended it, and then it was over, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do some Mother's Day shows." So they did Mother's Day shows this year as well. And I was like, "Okay, boom, he's back in Vegas. I think in July. So from July to October, he'll be back in Vegas." And the reason why is because you know
People
the
that coming out and you're selling out.
and people
And
are
when things are opening up, people
going
like, well, let me go and see them.
this, and I think even with NPR, for those who maybe even was thinking, "Oh, I might want to go," and who hadn't gone, I really think that is going to propel it even further because he just sounds so. He just, oh, it's like butter. Mm.
It is. And one thing we do know, because of when he came out, I think he was like 11 years old. People that don't know, he is not Atlanta. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee,
Yes,
but he resides in ATL now. Um, but he came out before all this auto tune. So he was a young child with tremendous vocal ability. And if anybody have seen him when he was doing his acting, phenomenal with that. And what a lot of people don't know, because I used to love watching the soap operas. He did a whole full summer on one of the soap operas.
did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yes. Bold and the Beautiful.
Hmm.
This is a 30 minute. Yeah. He did it, and he did good. And see, one thing, like people that know, like if they watch the soap operas, those people they only get their scripts 2 weeks in advance. And so they always, and like when he was on there, it wasn't like a cameo. Like, no, he was written into one of the major storylines and stuff like that. Yeah, he was, and it was like he did very well with that. So they just kind of let you know. See, that's why you gotta have friends that's in their 40s, because they just know stuff. And the ones that's in, where it's just like, I did not know. Well, guess what? I was on it. I had to watch soap opera, the stories, as we used to call
I
them
was
growing up.
my lives, and my grandmother's was As the World Turns. So that's my mine was Days of Our Life. My grandmother As the World Turns. So that's where I kind of feel with my stories. But on to our very last topic. We talked about Miss Wendy Williams a little bit. I'm just kind of following where she is. Uh, Great news that Wendy
Mhm.
Williams is starting a podcast. It is going to be called The Wendy Experience. Now, we don't know when it's going to start, but it's something that she's talking about, that she I believe has posted somewhere. Like it was on social media, but I'm not sure like where her page is, because the other piece of that is like everything that had to do with Wendy Williams, the brand, is gone.
Mhm.
Like even her YouTube TV show, things that was on YouTube, which is very interesting. Fans were tweeting about that and talking about it. Um, which I
Yeah.
think that's wild
They
that
they took down all of, basically, like all of her content, which is like, to me, just crazy,
like,
unheard of,
why would you
because
do that?
she had after show that came on YouTube. And so like after her show was over, like she go to her office, and then she do some other different little type of things, and then she would talk, and it had great ratings and stuff, and I would watch it. And but to remove everything, it was just like,
Odd.
to me, it's like, was Kevin over that?
I mean,
Her ex-husband, because it seemed like that's
to
something that
erase
he would have
her.
done.
Like, are you guys trying to erase her legacy? And I mean, it could be her, right? So you remember that time when Prince stopped going as Prince, and he just
Mm-hmm.
symbol, because it's like, y'all not gonna get money off of me. So that's the reason why he was just going as the symbol. There were certain songs he would not sing
Yep.
at his shows because he did not have his masters. And so I'm wondering for her, like, nope, I'm not gonna let y'all do it. So take it all down.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was that, but that's fans are very upset. They have been talking about it, because like how's everything gone? But you know, love or hate Wendy Williams, she is an icon. She was been the messy friend for everybody. She gave you all the tea, asked all the questions that people really wanted to ask, said stuff that you didn't want her to say, and you can't really hate on her. That's the bottom line. She has been that girl. And so I hope she really is able to reclaim her position healthy. I hope she's healthy and not just trying to do something to still keep her name out there. But I really do hope that she's able to come out. In this space podcasts are huge right now, and that's something that she can control. So I hope it does well. If it happens, if she changes her name, whatever, I'm interested. And she just has one of these iconic voices too. So I think
Yes.
her voice is made for a podcast.
Yes,
She should
absolutely.
do
Because if we got to think about it, she started out with radio.
right.
So she's very comfortable that, hey, if y'all don't see my face, I can still do whatever it is that I'm going to do. So we don't know if it will be a audio visual.
Right.
podcast, or just completely just audio. But even if so, all you got to do is just give her a mic. But she got her purple chair because when you seen the little clip, she was sitting there in her nice Versace robe and stuff, and she had her purple chair and just like letting you know the queen is back. Like, I ain't going nowhere.
Exactly.
And when she sat up there and said, "I'll be making more money than I ever did," and some of it is because guess what? If I put it out, this is my own. It's all me.
And
All my money comes into me, and my fans love
she didn't write those contracts. So going into it now, being able to have more control, being aware of what's in her contracts, and the market being as it is right now, I think that she will do well. And some people say she's burned a lot of bridges, but she also has a lot of friends in the industry. So it will not just be Wendy Williams talking. She will bring in people. So I'm excited about it. For her, just for the culture, I think it's a great thing.
it.
I look forward to see what she has um, yet to give us because
And
I know.
speaking of, not to cut you off, but speaking of other podcasts and things, Latoya Luckett, who was original member of Destiny's Child, she's coming out with the Latoya Luckett show. So she's doing some things because she loves to shop and cook. So she's supposed to have like a all around little channel just for her and stuff. And
You know
lastly,
what it's
not
called?
if I'm not mistaken, it's called the Latoya Luckett Show.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, because I had seen it earlier today, and I was just like, okay.
Like
I'm
before, but I couldn't remember the name of it. A still Toya, something Toya. Anywho, she has one coming out.
yeah. So I'm happy for anybody that's coming into the space. I'm happy for us. This is our 10th episode.
Is our 10th episode. Yeah,
We getting on up there. We getting on up there.
we are 6 months in. Um,
Yes,
we have very busy lives, but this is something that we really want to do. So, the fact that we are able to be consistent and get here at this space, I'm excited. I'm glad for making it here with you, girl. Happy 10 episode.
yes, 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 yes. And
So, for
next
all
thing you know, it'll be a whole year, and we need to start planning now for what we're gonna do with our year,
yeah,
because it'll happen so quick, and then it'll be like, what we gonna do?
all you listening for the very first time, the second time, the third time, the 10th time, go ahead, like and subscribe. Follow us, share with your friends. And also, as Renee said, you can also give to our Cash App.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
So
contribute.
it will
Um,
help us with our sound. It will help us with things that we need to make this podcast run. So we are open if you want to open up your hearts and your pockets and your wallets. We are very gracious to receive.
exactly. And we be transparent, let you know where your money going to and
Okay,
stuff. Like, it ain't no secret. It's not no secret or whatever. Um,
on to tonight's topic. Is there pee in the dating pool?
I think there's a little more than pee in the dating pool. I think it's some poop in
It's
there too. Poo poo, poo poo.
poo poo. Ooh.
I've seen some floating past. I really do.
Oh man, it is so crazy. I think dating now, you say in the 21st century, 2022, I think a lot has changed. I have some friends who were married, who are now no longer married, or are in the process of not being married. And that is like the first thing I say. Like, you can't really handle dating like you handled it before you got married. You know,
Mm,
they come with these stories, and I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't work. It's not really like that anymore. Um, yeah, so it's just interesting. It's interesting. I don't know what has caused the shift. Is a bad or good shift? I really don't know. Because what I feel like is there's a lot of people, men and women alike, who want relationships, but they're not clear on what they really want. Or there's
Mhm.
certain things they want out of relationships, um, but they don't want the responsibilities of the relationship, and or people have been hurt, uh, and so therefore they are not transparent. They are not vulnerable. They are not really open to a relationship. So you have a lot of people out here playing games. I think that's the bottom line, right? Like just people out here playing games, and so that just makes it hard out here dating for everyone.
Oh,
It's like it's for men and women alike. This is not even like a all the guys are trash. No, like there's definitely some trash females out there too.
right. And I think it does not have anything to do with sexual preference, because this has to do with people personalities. Because as my sister said, if you ain't got no get right in you, you just don't have any in you, and it does not mean any, like whoever you like or whatever. It's just, if you have no plans on doing right, you just not gonna do it. It
Look,
ain't gonna matter who it is.
Fernette in the comments says, "Is there even a pool? Where is the water?" So sis is saying there's a
It
pool,
ain't
but it
never
hasn't been filled. Dang, that's rough.
with pee pee and poo poo.
It don't have water in it. So the
It's
hint
liquids.
it's not filled. Do you feel like people just pissing in the pool, in the empty pool too? Whew, that's a
Like maybe the water had been drained, but the container has been there, and so now we just filling it up with pee and poo and spit and sweat and blood, like,
blood, sweat, and tears.
and some radioactive something. Some, something that had a biohazard sign on there, radioactive sign, something that'll kill you later on. You know, it's carcinogenic, teratogenic, you know what I'm saying, corrosive. I'll be
Renee,
flammable.
you have some stats for us, right? Some dating stats for us.
Yes, absolutely. Because as we like to give people um not just the problems but the solutions, and how did we get here?
And not just our opinion. Like we're not
Yes,
just saying it's trash.
yes. And we try to get from reputable sites. So this is from pewresearch.org, and they are very, very non-biased. It's just like this is no what the numbers is and everything. So singles are split on being on and off the dating market. So right now you have 69% of people that are partnered and 31% that is single. And between that 31%, you have 15% that's looking and 15% that's not looking. So that not looking could be like, you know what, I'm out here, I'm just casually dating. I ain't looking for nobody serious. So they may be in there. But then you got some people like, I'm working on me. I done been out there. I'm good where I'm at until further notice. So they're not even part of the dating pool that could be. And then you don't know if that 15% how equally it is. So other US who are single varied by demographic groups. So 31% is of all adults. White people is 28%. Black people is a whopping 47%. And Hispanic people are 27%. So there are more single adult black people than anything else. And I truly believe that has some historic content to that, as far as the attack on the black family. But of that age group, 18 to 29 is 41%. So which that sounds about right. They just not becoming adults. Everybody out of high school is not getting married right away. 30 to 49 years old is 23%. 50 to 64 is 28%. 65 and older is 36%. So right now, the age group that we're in is only 23% that is available. And men and women is equal at 31%. So amongst the men in our age group is 27%, and that is equal with people that's 50 to 64. So getting a person, a man between 30 and 64%.
Is
Hmm.
50% of people in our age group who are single or who are
Yes,
dating?
that are single.
Okay.
Yes. And with women of our age group, it's only 19% of us between 30 to 49 that are single, but 50 to 64% is 29%. And majority of the women that are single, they're 65 and older is 49%. So, and then straight people is only 29%. So gay, lesbian, bisexual is 47% of them. So you got to realize like those people they're in that dating pool, and um, if you're not part of that community or curious or whatever, it's only 29% straight people that are your potential. And of course, they
And
vary.
it's the cross sectionality with that, because if you have anyone who falls into the LGBTQ community who are also maybe bisexual, then that's also floating into the percentage of straight people who are dating, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I wonder, maybe we need to try to explore that, not personally, but maybe we need to get someone on that identifies as bisexual. Like, how do they go about what they're looking? Like, is it, you feel this particular way, or it's just kind of like, I'm just open to whomever,
yeah.
you know? How does that relate?
I mean,
So,
for those that I have met, I mean, not that we had these, I can't even say had these deep conversations, but when the topic has came up, it's kind of like, it's more so, if I come across someone and I'm attracted to them, I like having a conversation with them going out, then, that it's not just, oh, you're a man, you're a woman, I want both of you. It's about the attraction,
okay,
or what they're looking for. So it's not a
okay.
matter of I like, but everybody's different. So you can't even put everyone in this one box of what that looks like for them.
Exactly. So of those single people, as I said, you got that 50% that's looking and 50% that's not looking. So that 50% that's not looking, you have 10% looking for casual dates only.
Hmm.
You have 14% looking for a committed relationship only. And then you have a whopping 26% looking for either. So they the undecided people.
And they
So it's
that's where the poo comes in, right there. That's where the piss is coming in, right there. That 26% of saying either, that because that is so ambiguous. What does that mean? I kind of
mm-hmm,
want something that means I like the way this is, but I don't really want the commitment that goes with it. I mean, this is my assumption, right?
mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, that's some piss right there for sure.
It is. It absolutely is because when you meet those people, it's kind of like, okay, since you're not looking for either one, are you just kind of like, well, whatever happens, I'm on board with it, or you just want to stay in this gray area?
And
So,
great, it turns real murky real quick.
exactly, absolutely. Um, so also, are they really being honest? Of that 26%, I'm pretty sure you have some concrete people where it's just like, I'm okay with whatever. And that's truly how they feel. But other people, I think they really do not know how to express. So they feel like, well, if I express what I really want or what I, you know, say that'll make them feel some type of way. And then that's a lack of immaturity as well, because if you get into this fourth decade of your life and
Mhm.
you cannot express your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions verbally or write them down on a sheet of paper or something to someone, that's an issue.
Right.
That is definitely in my book. That's the issue, and that's something that you have to work out between you and potentially a therapist, because somebody else can't, like, at this point, if you should already realize I have no voice and I'm trying to get it back.
Well,
Or
I think that is part of the problem. The problem is not just the lack of communication, and saying what it is you want to someone. I think people are not really aware of themselves, of what they really want. So
Mhm.
it's kind of when it says we'll just see, it's kind of, oh, this feels nice. Yeah, so it's this. Oh, I don't like it. So it's like I'm still trying to figure it out, type of deal. And I think that's it. People don't really know what they want, and that probably goes into the 14% as well, not just the 26 of the
Hmm.
either way. Even the people who know that they have this end result, or this ending, this end goal, or whatever in mind, they don't always know exactly what they want or what they don't want. Sometimes the don't want could be even more important, you know.
Yes.
Um,
And to
or
be able to convey that, I remember before I moved from Chicago, and I was casually dating um, people. And one of the like initial questions I asked people, how do you like to be treated?
mhm,
Um, and to you, what is a man? And some people, you would think that those are easy questions, but those became very, very trouble questions. Like, one, some people just immediately on the defense say, why would you ask me like that? It's like, I think that's probably a good question to start off with when you meet. How do you like to be treated? Because if there are certain things that you like to be treated and how you like to be treated, if that ain't what I do, then guess what? I'm already off board
right.
with it and stuff. So then we have to go to something else like what's your idea, what to you, what is a man? Because the first thing a lot of people, I want to be treated like a man. Okay, so how, what does a man be treated
That
like?
look
And
for you.
then they struggle with it. Well, guess what, since you can't answer two seemingly easy questions, I'm finna go ahead, exit stage left, and I'm going on. Well, see, you ain't right. How am I not right? Like, this is just as simple as asking you what your name is and how old you are.
And I think that, and even going back to asking those questions, your original thing is you were casually dating. So even when you meet someone, I think that's the question, like, okay, what are you looking for? And they say, oh, I'm looking for a partner. What does that look like for you? I'm casually dating. What does that mean for you? Because our definitions of casually dating could be something totally different. It could just be sex. It could be, I'm looking for a companion. Like, I want to go out sometimes. I want to talk on the phone, but I don't want all that, all the time in each other's face. You don't have to worry about me outside of our planned get togethers. You don't have to worry about me, and I don't have to worry about you. I think those are the deep questions because, again, it brings in the muddiness and the boo boo that's in
Mm-hmm.
school. So then what happens is people are bringing these experiences from one relationship to the next relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
so there goes more pee and more doo doo because you're dragging all of this. Well, this person didn't like this, so I'm not going to do this. But you're actually talking to someone totally different. And when I told you I was casually dating, I actually meant it. I actually meant I'm casually dating. I didn't mean I want to hang out with you and then eventually maybe we. No, I meant we're casually dating.
Exactly. And that means typically I'm dating other people other than you. So guess what? You're not going to dominate my weekends or my week. And I'm not going to trip if I didn't get a call back or you didn't text me back in the right amount of time. But don't trip when I don't do that as well, because at this, there's no slots to be filled. There's no necessarily number one. There's no necessarily number two or whatever. It's like everybody on the same playing field. I want to be bothered when I want to be bothered. And then you have different people during that time. There was different people who had different financial backgrounds, right? So there was different things where it's just like, guess what? We can go and do this because okay, this person he's a lawyer, he's a physician, he's an engineer versus okay, you not knocking anybody else, but guess what? Going and paying for 2 tickets to the Chicago theater at the last minute was nothing to some people, but then to other people, it's like, did you see them tickets? Them tickets were like $300 to start off with.
And I think even for that, that's important to know, right? Like if you're seriously looking for someone, or you're casually dating, but I'm casually dating, but I want someone to be as a woman. I want to be with someone who can afford these tickets. Like, be real with yourself about what it is you want.
And I would say this, and I kind of learned this from my sister too, is that if there is something that I can do for myself
Hmm.
with ease, and I'm not putting myself in a strain, I'm not having to try to move stuff around, then I'm not so keen to be with somebody where doing those same things is gonna be an issue or a problem, for them as
Hmm.
well, because that money issue is going to become an issue sooner or later. It always is. When you look at the divorce rates, people, the number one reason why people divorce in this country, which is about 75%, is due to finances.
Yep.
So is I take for instance, just like last year when we went to celebrate your 40th birthday. Okay, there was like within like a month. Basically, it's like, do you have the money to go today, or do you not have the money to go today? It was just kind of
It
like,
really wasn't a figure it out.
oh, we go pay on it or whatever. Not saying that that's how my life is set up. Like it's always the last minute, no type of planning or preparation. But no, but it's like, okay, if you don't have something set up, save back. If not, everything. Oh, I don't have no money for that. I don't have no money for that. It's like, why don't you have any money for it? Are you saving for something else? So therefore, you sacrificing certain things, or you ain't got the money for it. Like I'm not going to be doing it.
And you
No.
have to know that. I think that's the most important thing. And if you don't care about the money and you just want sex, be honest. Be honest, know what you want, and be honest, because not knowing what you want and being honest about what you want is what is creating the peace and the peace.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that is not a man thing. That is a woman thing too. There was this lady who went viral recently, um, and I think she actually is like a dating coach, and
Mm-hmm.
she was just talking about, women, sometimes it's you, and sometimes you don't know how to talk to people. Sometimes you don't know what you want. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you have nothing that you're bringing the to the table. You know,
Right.
um, there was a meme. Well, it wasn't a meme. It was like a Twitter. You know how they repost tweets or whatever.
Yeah.
And this girl wrote that she was dating this guy who had money, and basically he asked her, "Would would you date a guy that wasn't um well off, like a scrub?" And
Mm-hmm.
she said, "No, I wouldn't." And he was like, "You do realize you're like a scrub, right? To me." She was like, "I have not been the same since." But you know what I mean? It's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. But I think that everybody has to be honest about what they want.
Exactly. And then they have to know where they're at, let's because you see a lot of people, oh, I want somebody that's fit, I want somebody that's eat right, I want somebody that exercise. However, most people who are very, very, like they clean eating, they do all of that, they want someone to do that on the opposite side as well. So you gotta look at you. Like you want somebody trim and fit and everything like that, and their BMI is, right at 20
Hmm.
for whatever their height and weight is. Like, why would you think someone would not want someone to physically look in picture perfect health?
But I don't. So I think that's true. It's like be the person that you want. However, there are people who, and I will say mostly it has been guys
Hmm.
who who are like trainers who will say like that's not the type of person they're looking for.
This is true. This
So
is true.
you know, I think it is just about being honest about what you want, and
Exactly.
be honest about what you want, knowing what you want. Um, you know, I was not a fan of Kevin Samuels. I really wasn't.
Hmm.
Mainly because there were certain things that I just couldn't get with that he would say. Not to discount other things that he said that may have been true. But like when he got into these like certain things I just couldn't. So I just didn't listen to him. I didn't lend my ears to him. But there are
Right.
certain things that he would say that, you hear that I can see why it grabbed people's ear. You know,
Hmm.
so like I, I read this thing where he was talking about how men get mad that if you're a man who you are afraid to take a woman out to dinner because all she wants is a free meal, then you shouldn't be dating. And he's saying that because it's like, how would you know? You don't
Hmm.
know. You don't know if that's what that is. So, I had an example of this. I can remember I met this guy online. Um, and we got to a point where we were gonna meet up. And so he asked me, he was like, he wanted to go out to eat because I actually said, oh, let's, coffee for me was fine. That's the one. Coffee that's
A
quick.
meet and greet.
We not gelling is real quick. Let's move on. I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Where he asked me, where would you like to go? I even made it. I thought it was simple. I said Cheesecake Factory. I feel like it was somewhere in the middle. They have good food. They have an array of things on the menu. They have great dessert. I am definitely a dessert girl. You asked me where I want to go. I'm telling you. Okay.
Yes.
My mother always told me someone gives you the options to choose, you choose. He then says, well, I don't know if I feel like I feel comfortable going there. The last time I went there, it just felt like the person just wanted to go there to get a free meal. I was like, well, I don't really know what you want. Why did you ask me? Like
And
honestly, why?
that's true, because if that was the case, you should have said like, "Hey, where would you rather go?" and give me two choices or three choices to choose from. That would have been a better thing. But it's like you still traumatized and hoping against Cheesecake Factory because
Exactly.
that was how you.
Else treated you in your experience. And I will honestly say, I was not interested in him after that conversation. And it wasn't about cheesecake. I go to Cheesecake Factory, take myself, child. Okay, I will go to Cheesecake Factory, get my own cheesecake. I don't have to eat, but that wasn't the point.
Right.
That it was more so that showed me your level of insecurity up front that I was like, I can't do that.
Hmm.
I didn't. I'll be honest. I wasn't like, no, I'm not gonna go out with you. But that dialogue just went so weird. I don't think we talked. Maybe we had one conversation after that, and then we never met up.
Because at that point, everything going to get coffee, it ain't had to be Starbucks. It could have been Dunkin' Donuts. It's going to be something that's associated with something with somebody else or
Exactly.
whatever like that. And it's kind of, as you get older, the more experiences you have with people. So therefore, there's a lot of things that's associated. I mean, I can sit there and be like, I don't want to get in no car that's black because I done talked to people who had a black car. Like that ain't had it. You think Ford and Toyota and Honda they was thinking about anybody other than you go buy this car.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people are walking around like bitter and insecure.
Very, very, very,
So,
very.
like on both sides, we're talking about hetero relationships, but I mean, I can't speak for anything else because we are both
But I think that's just the nature of people. I don't think it has nothing to do.
bitter and insecure, and it's just like constant clash. Like even when these debates, these Kevin Samuel debates, the lady get on. Like I could agree with everything this young lady was saying because she wasn't speaking like every woman is like this. She's saying these are things like if this is you. Like these are things you need to work on, and then you get in the comment section is yeah, women never want to they never want to take blame for anything, and then you have women. It's like, but that is true. Some women don't. But when you have this like overarching idea that that's no woman wants to take, responsibility for their actions or to be accountable. And it's like we're just everybody's just fighting. We're fighting to be
Exactly. But I would say this, I'm always leery of people who always say, "Oh, women they don't never want to take accountability for their actions." Are you the type of person that's never wrong? Because if you the type of person that's never wrong, it ain't gonna matter what that person said. It could be your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, it could be somebody else on television. And I got some two of my really close friends, they're male and they're homosexual and they have told me it was like be careful when you hear certain men say that. It was like because them the ones that stay up in my DM.
mm.
And I have looked, it was like let me see, I looked in your DM. You let me look in your DMs. And then I'm gonna go to their pages and stuff like that. A lot of the people they do have families and whatever like that. Which to me, live in your truth and leave the family and that woman and all of the other kind of stuff alone. But then the stuff that they just continuously say about females and women, like you are torturing yourself. But guess what? You can live how you want to live.
And even for those men that may not, be on the DL or confused, I think life
They got some mama issues.
yeah, they have those issues, and I think it's also because the dynamics have changed in society.
Oh yeah.
As women, just in general, we don't quote unquote need a man to do certain things. There was
This is
a
true.
time that we absolutely needed a man to do things. Like we needed a man to be able to go to the doctor. So it's on
Hmm.
very basic levels. You needed a man to approve of a job that you had. Like you needed a man to be able to do all of these things to move around in the world. And it's shifted. So the dynamics of relationship, people talk about, oh, my grandparents stayed together. Oh, like, so what was that relationship with your grandparents? Why were your grandparents together all that time? Were they happy? Were they actually in love, or were they just together because it was convenient for both parties? Specifically,
Exactly.
women a lot of times stayed in marriages and relationships because what else were they going to do?
They had no other choice. And I know a lot of people, they throw around these terms such as modern women and masculine and women. And, you know, I'm not a feminist by a long shot and stuff like that. But it was a post that I seen the other day, and it was I forget. It was saying something about, women have changed, a lot of talking about black women. It's like our focus, like when we start going to college, is like you stay in school, focus on your studies and stuff like that. Whereas some of our counterparts is just like you can get your education and you can find your husband as well. And people in the comment sections was also saying, that a lot of times some of our counterparts, their sole purpose is to go to college to find a husband. It's not there for them to get an education and stuff like that. So then, but as with us, a lot of times because we're the first generations and stuff, and it was like, and that destroyed the black family. And I was sitting up there and I was looking like, hold on, let me look in this conversation. Let me, because it's always gonna be a few people who I feel in a conversation that's gonna have like-minded. And it's like, okay, if black men seen this, well then why were you all not continuously going to college, finding us as well, where we already know statistic wise, black women have been the most educated at this point.
Mhm.
Of the black people, we the ones that have most of the degrees,
Well, not the
higher earning degrees. So
world,
it's just
the
like
U.S. Black women are a higher degree than all people. in,
exactly. And then when you look at that scale and stuff like that, when it's talking about marriage, a marriage between a black woman and a white man is least likely to end in divorce. And when you break it down, it's like, okay, because the black woman still caters and stuff to her family, but she's still a boss in her own right. Like, I'ma hold it down and we can have more together. Where with this white man, he looking like, guess what? I really do have a helpmate. So guess what? She gonna push me. Where others is like, okay, okay. But when you look at it, they don't. They don't. And I mean, yes, it probably has some racial components too, but it's like if you see, okay, black women, we getting educated. We
you said
getting educated.
what don't they do?
What you mean?
You said they don't. Who don't do what?
Um, as far as like with the white men, they we're more apt to make it in marriages with, we have the least amount of divorces amongst a black woman and a white male.
Hmm.
And when you look at some of the things that I've read as the reasons why, is because we as black women, we educate, we bring a lot to the table, and we are more of a helpmate to them than just, okay, we're just their wife. Whereas maybe with a white woman that they marry, it's like, okay, well, whatever you want to do, then that's fine. And it's not so much as a helpmate versus as, well, whatever you want to do.
Oh, so you
I'm just gonna stand beside you.
they don't
Whereas,
show up as a partner. It's more of I'm going to kind of follow uh, your train.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Whereas, like, we both are co-captains.
Mhm.
And it's like, I'm still gonna let you be that man. and that it man, but guess what? They allow room for you to be that woman in your own right in order for you to grow and, you know, just become and to even be more, because I think it's already innate in us as black women. So that those are some of the things that they see, and it's attractive. But
Do
you
you
know,
the when it comes to black women specifically, do you
mhm,
think that um the way to have less piss in your pool is to open yourself up to other races?
absolutely, absolutely. Hmm. Because one thing, whether people want to say it or not, we definitely still sought after highly
Are
amongst everybody, and it's a common myth that black men do not marry black women, which that's not true. We do. They do. They still overwhelmingly choose us
right.
more than anybody else. It's just what the media portrays shows
But then
otherwise.
why do black women need to then be with a white man?
I think sometimes when you get to certain levels, it's very few of people that look like you. So
A, a like-minded match?
I think that, and I think it's the proximity as well. Because if you look just culturally and where people, if you look at bordering countries in other on other continents, sometime around that border you see more mixing of people, of the two races of people, and it's just, I think there's just normal human behavior. It's in close proximity. Sometimes when you see certain families that live in predominantly, non-black section of town, they may go to school, you may see the kids, they more be more apt to date outside their race. And I don't think it's that they don't want to, it's
Is it
just proximity. Hmm.
so I think, and I'm just trying to kind of dissect some things you said because like you said, we try to bring like what solution. So it sounds like you're saying one solution specifically. Well, we're talking about black women because we are black women. But
Yes,
just in general, to open up your pools that you're visiting.
yes, the possibility.
Open up
Open up.
the possibility.
And I don't know if you remember, one year it was for Corey's birthday, my son, and I forget, it was this guy who you used to make music and stuff with. They ended up coming, and we was all sitting around, we was talking, we started talking about dating, and it was we was talking about being single and stuff like that and how we are raised. Whereas, and these are things that I heard growing up too, you get educated and find your black man, a good black man.
Mhm.
Okay, this is what my family people are telling me as a female. Get your education, get what you need, and then find your good black man. They ain't said no time frame, right?
No.
Get you first, so you well established. And I think some of that is so that, guess what, you know that you can be independent, that you can make it on your own, but then if it don't work, you have something else to fall on, so you're not trapped into a potential bad situation because you got your education, you got your good job. However, on the opposite side, what we tell our men, and this is was the guy, he was saying, I can't think of his name, it'll come to me later, that what he heard and what his friends have always heard, you get yourself together, get you educated, get you a good job, then find a good woman, then put black on it.
Right.
So when it does internalize that, and then when you look at, more black men are more apt to procreate outside their race, where black women
Sure.
that are not.
I think that black men are, you'll find more black men that are open to dating outside their race. Not necessarily that they're looking. It's like, I think it's like you said, a lot of times based on proximity. I wouldn't say that all interracial dating is all about, that whole preference.
Oh no.
I don't think that's the majority. A lot of it is proximity and you love who you love.
Yeah.
But when it comes to black women, I think that has been, I definitely agree with you that that has been a big thing that has held us back. Yeah, you
Because
kind of
it said that, because it does, because you're telling it to a young person's mind, where it's like black man, so then that's it. But like if you're telling your son, okay, it doesn't have to be a black, just finding you a good woman, then guess what, it opens up the
the door.
possibility and stuff like that as well. However, I don't know what has happened, because the same black women that are getting these degrees, higher degrees, and they're holding some of the higher positions in the land, they are raised in the same household with brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people have extended family members that have stayed
Well,
with
no,
them, and they still, but it's like, why y'all ain't getting that? Why
but
y'all not?
so here's the thing, though. You said what happened. It's the communication. What's being said to one is different from what's being said to the other. And even
Yes.
sometimes, even when the same thing is being said to both, what is the follow up to
Hmm.
one to another? So I think it is. It's the same parents are just saying different things to children, and the expectations are different. But here's the question, though. If the theory is that we need to open up our dating pool,
Hmm.
there are going to be white women um, who will say, "Nah, sis, it's pissing our pool too." So what do you
Hmm.
think of that? Because it's piss everywhere.
It is. It is. But I, I mean, I don't know. I guess I need to probably try to talk to some white women that are our age that potentially is single and may have been single through this whole time, not been married and then they returned. Unless maybe they was married in their 20s and then they divorced in their 20s, and then they still have over 10 years of just being single, to see, okay, it's a different type of piss. Piss is piss. This is true, but what is what is they saying against them?
Hmm.
Because I know, looking at a lot of people on YouTube and stuff, this whole thing, these modern women, these masculine women and stuff like that. Um, you know, how does that trend and how does that relate? And then there are studies that show that the more educated black females are, the more likely they are to be single. That's if they didn't marry when they were young. And I think some of it is like you become focused, and when you get to different levels, it becomes more white. It becomes more monochromatic. Sometimes you end up being that only one person in that space.
And
And
well, I think that's true. I think that's true when it comes to the education piece. Because we can talk if we go back to Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? Her husband is white, and you know, I wouldn't say that um I have to give me a white man, but as she rose and within different arenas and company, and based on proximity, this is the man that she met and married
yes,
and has procreated with. But we have to take it to the other side, because there are men who says there are pee in the dating pool and poo in the dating pool. So for these men who may be black men who are experiencing piss in the dating pool, what's their solution? Because
yes,
the reality is, and I completely agree with what you're saying. Um, but I will say that I don't think that accounts for the piss.
yes. Now, Corinthians said they are so intimidated by strong black women, and she also pointed out that our Madam VP, her husband is also a white man. Um, so sometimes it is with the proximity, and that was the other thing that was saying about with marrying a white man with a black woman, is that both of them are strong, and it's like that white man, he ain't intimidated by your strength.
Right.
He look at that as a plus. So guess what? If it's a plus for us as a family unit, look at how far we can go. And I don't have no problem with, what, this your time to shine. I'm not standing behind you. I'm there as a wall of protection to keep any. I got your back to make sure ain't nobody stabbing you in it.
Right.
Whereas, like, sometimes, us, it's like, You don't know how to operate in these spaces because you ain't been there.
Us being black men, you were talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you're scared. You don't know. A lot of times, you don't know how to talk to one another. You don't. Sometimes I have seen this within my own family and stuff. You don't know how to talk to another man, period. So then, therefore, you always sometimes thinking that somebody's trying to control you or dominate you, or it's a pissing contest, it's some type of competition where it's just like, no, you already feel their strength, you already feel their that, and so you already intimidated because you ain't sure of yourself. And to be honest with you, especially here in the United States, it ain't no reason for no white men to really be scared because everything has been catered around to them so they can walk into their strength. And
Agree with that. That could be one of the reasons why there are, when it comes to relationships and marriages that have worked out, in relation to black women and white men, that dynamic, like you said, as a white man, as a cis white man in America, Christian, the world caters to you. So there's
exactly,
that is going to be honest, there's nothing that is really going to intimidate you because, if you're meeting up with this educated black woman, it's about proximity. So that means you're also on that same level. But that's for those relationships, because bringing it back to our topic, piss in the dating pool. There's some educated black women who have horrible attitudes.
that's true.
I
I
keep it real about our topic that there's some educated black women that don't know how to talk to other black women and don't know how to.
but you know what? I don't think they have nothing to do with the education. I think it's just some of your home training. You don't know how
Well,
because you
absolutely.
talk at one another. So therefore, a lot of times, and I remember watching a Young Van Zandt when she had this thing on and it had like black women and stuff. And then she was like, the reason why you want to say something bad about her because you see something in her that you don't like about yourself. So
Right.
you're constantly trying to fight it instead of working on it. And I
Right.
was like, you know what? That is very, very true. Or you see something in her that you want to be. And instead of asking like, sis, how you get there, how did you have to overcome X, Y, and Z? You just more apt to sit back and hate on that. And that is plantation mentality.
Right. I just want to make sure, like for me and my, that we are clear on the idea that, well, piss in the pool for educated black women is because there's not enough educated black men to meet their level. Because
I
that
think that's one component of the
that could
piece.
be one component. But again, there's some educated black women they are trash humans.
Yes.
They don't know how to talk to people. And then education doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have a quality relationship.
This is true
So,
too.
so yeah.
But
I mean, and your point. I actually agree with your point, but there's definitely other points to be made because why? What is it? Why is there piss in the dating pool? And
right.
I definitely want to point it out because there's educated black women that's walking around like, yeah, that's why I don't have a man because there's no black man that's me, me like, no, sis, that's not why. You pissed in that pool as well. And to
Yeah.
be honest, we've all pissed in that pool.
Yeah.
We've all
Yeah.
pissed in that pool. We all have some stock in the shitty, pissy pool that we are swimming around in. So it's like, what do we do to clean the pool? Do we get out the pool? Do we create a new pool? Do we go to another park? Do
Right.
we drain the pool?
Well, I definitely feel like first out, the swimmers in the pool need to be accountable for their own stuff. That's number one. That's go help clean some of it up.
Very true. I think, you
So you can stop pissing in the pool if you
it's
deal
like
with your
that,
own stuff.
that blue dye that they put in the pool so
Yes.
everybody in the pool and it turned blue and then like everybody know you just pissed in the pool. I think
Yes.
it's accountability.
Brianna said, throw the whole pool away. Sometimes you do have to destroy what's already there and start off with a new.
Mm.
We'll say that much. That is so very true because it's like, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, even if you ain't got that but three people pissing in an Olympic sized pool, do you think that piss is gonna stay over there in that corner where they at? It's gonna dissipate and it's gonna get kind of everywhere. Um, Corinthians, she said there has to be a shift in the mentality of black men. They aspire to be the breadwinner and have their women follow, and that's cool if he got it like that. But unfortunately, in many situations, she will earn more based on escalation, and that is very, very true. As we said, we as black women have we hold in more degrees and stuff. So as they seen this trend, it's like, well, what did y'all do? Like, y'all got to step your game up too, but also you got to be confident in you, because a lot of people feel like money make the man. So when they go into this situation and then she can make more money than him, you got to be confident in yourself to be like, okay, I'm okay with the woman that's making more money than me. But as she, sometimes it's not about I'm flaunting my own money around. I'm just buying stuff that I always want to do. I want to buy me a house. I want to buy me a nice car. Some people, they desire is I want to buy a brand new car off the lot. Like, it ain't no used car. It new to
Yeah,
me. Like, it's a brand new car. And that may be something that he's not able to do. But you didn't meet her 5 years ago when she was working on her credit.
right.
So sometimes we have to remember we meet people right where they at. You didn't see all what took to get to right here, right now.
Erica said there's a lot of bitterness and issues between black men and women that need to be addressed. And I completely agree with that. And that was one point I was going to make. Like, the question comes up, where were black men? So for you and I, we went to HBCU, so we knew they're black men that
Hmm.
are educated, they are doing well, they are doing great in their community. So this is not the conversation about all black men.
Right.
Not and it was not just black men that went to HBCUs. The reality is, though, and this is we do have to keep in perspective. I think a lot of times we are having these arguments. Um, about how we go at each other based on narratives that have been created for ourselves. Meaning,
Hmm.
we know there are how many black men have been incarcerated. We talk about the prison to pipe, the school
It's a prison pipeline. Hmm.
all the time. And we're talking about percentage, not about the black men that we know that's doing great. Because even every black woman is not doing phenomenal. Because like I said, there's some black women that's trash. Okay. So we're just talking about percentage wise. So if we think about our age group and where our age group is, and you say this is where our age group of women were and what they were doing, what was the percentage of black men? Where were they?
That's
They
what I was saying. Like, where was you when we was getting these
jail.
degrees?
Jail. I mean, we saying they was in jail, and we're saying that a system has been set up against them. My point is, I feel like we are fighting each other on ideas and situations that were actually we were set up to fight each other on. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I don't. Of course, all black men didn't go to jail, but that's we know they there right now. That's
Hmm.
overpopulating the jails right now. So even if they're not in jail right now, they were at one point, or they was in and out of Juba. They were, having, committing these crimes, being in different. They weren't getting a lot of the black men were our boys weren't even getting tools. They weren't getting things in their school to excel them and uh to set them up on a track to be better, right?
Hmm.
So now black women, we get set on a track, but our parents, because that's coming from a whole systemic racism thing where we have to be prepared not to have our man. That is a very slavery based mentality. You got to be
Right.
prepared for your man not to be there. So that is why it's get your education, then you find a man. Because if you have a man and that man got to leave and he's taken from you, where are you stuck? So that's why black women are going in this trajectory. But we have to, I just think it's important to remember that piece about where black men have been and what has actually
Yes.
happened. And the deconstruction and the plan for the destruction of the black family. And so now
Yes.
when we have these conversations, I think they become very polarizing This is why we're having a conversation, but they become very polarizing because we forget all of those things. And so the black woman has a wonderful point, and the black man has the same great point, and then we just like this, and it's like we shouldn't be fighting each
But guess what? When as I say, we have to take it back to root issues and stuff like that. Because I forget it was it used to be a talk show that used to come on in Nashville, like on the AM radio late night when I was used to work third shift way back in the day. And they was saying that there has always been this unspoken anger between black men and black women, which is true, and it comes out in different ways. Said that, but when you look at when we was on the plantation, although this was your wife, your woman, it really was never yours because it belong, you ain't her belong actually belonged to someone else. So there was times where it's like, oh, y'all had a little celebration, they said that y'all married just out of spite or whatever, just to show you, guess what, F your relationship, F your marriage, F your family. This is what I'm gonna do to show you I am still in control. They'll come in there, rape your woman, force you to watch. Then they already know it creates something because it's like the black woman, you're supposed to be my man, you're supposed to protect me. You didn't protect me. However, they know you can't because they held you down. You was fighting and forced you to watch.
right.
But then at the same time, this black man looking like, now I have to go behind this man, and this is my wife. If not, she's gonna be beaten, potentially sold off, or my children will be sold off if they come out looking like me instead of looking like this overseer or looking like the slave owner. So there was always this, you didn't protect me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm not in a position to protect you anyway. So it's like it stole, as I say, one thing for slavery, if you was enslaved, ain't no way that you could be no man. In your true nature, ain't no way you could be no man.
Yeah.
So you've been fighting for your manhood this whole time that you've been here, and it's ingrained in your DNA. So some of it is that I'm hating that I still look at these women who I do love, but then they have features of the person who hurt me the most. And as I say, and it's vice versa too. It's like it wasn't my choice to have no child by you. I wanted children by my man. But then I had to have children by you. But then my kids that did look like you, I wasn't able to raise them. And then they just tore up. Like we cannot undo or just glance over what was done over 400 years to
We
us.
can't. And I think
Here in this country, we ain't even talking about the Arabs that enslaved us for about 16,000 years.
I think that is the whole. I think when we come back to the conversation of the dating pool, it's like, where are you swimming and what are you
Mm.
bringing? Like, what are you bringing to the pool event? You bringing floaties? You bringing your cooler? You got your you pissing in the pool because
You jumped out one pool, you still had poo on you.
so, like what Erica said earlier in the comments about that bitterness and this insecurities, and it's like we're always fighting each other. I think that this conversation is definitely a conversation specifically about African Americans,
Hmm.
um, where that is something that's in our pool and it's consistent, uh, and it shows up. And unless we learn to heal ourselves individually and then collectively, we're always going to butt heads. And now, so like if we think about the whole history, everything you just said, right? And you go fast forward, well, 50 years ago, when the time of, women were able to get, black women were able to get any type of support. If you got support, although welfare was created for white women when their men went off to war, so they
After
could.
World War II.
However, when it came to black women having any type of welfare, they could not have a man.
Yep.
So there was some many families that, the man had to be packed up in the bag because anytime the social worker came, could not be a trace of a man, or they could not have anything. So then you had that whole thing that goes in the mind, you're better off without me.
Mm-hmm.
because technically,
You never can get
or-
unpacked in your own home.
right, right, and that's why I say technically, and I use that word very lightly when it comes to the financial piece. There was a part of that was true, and so when we talk about trauma, and trauma lives in our genes, and that is real. We know that, scientifically, we know that trauma lives in your genes and is passed on. And so that even that idea of how can a man make a baby then leave, and then it's like, but I knew y'all was good. How did you know that? You had no idea. But I think that's also plays. Now that does not take away the responsibility that these men have to children
Mm-hmm.
at all. But we
Oh
have
no.
that does play a role in that mentality and that psychology around that.
Exactly. And people, they need to understand, just because you may have been okay, guess what? You was not starving physically. You were starving mentally. You were starving spiritually of that person. And trust me, that starvation lasts and carries on much more harder. And then when you meet other people who have that same one thing, I can't fix you, you can't fix me, and I'm looking for the same things. And sometimes those voids are just too much, and they can only, unless you work through your own stuff.
You have
Um,
to. Like, honestly, that is the only way that's going to work. And you have to be honest about these things. And if we think about it just as a collective in
mhm,
relationships and family, in the Black family, we say, okay, we talked about, slavery. We talked about, the welfare part. Now we come to 2022. We're in
mhm,
2022 when women are making money, specifically Black women, right? We go back to that conversation of Black women being in a place where, even if for the Black women that may not have these higher education things, Black women are killing it as entrepreneurs right now.
we talked about that, said
Like,
that we are on the heels of black and white men that creates new companies. When new companies are created here in the United States, there's almost 40-50% chance it's gonna be a white man or a black woman. And when you think about it, it comes out of necessity, in which we as black people, it's like when we giving nothing, we got to make a best of our own time. So guess what? You giving me these children, I got to feed them, I got to do everything else. So guess what? I got to create something that's going to have stability, because it's still something in us. Like, guess what? I don't want my kids to end up being the same way. So I got to have something to, in order for them to be okay in the next generation.
and I think what has happened, if we go to where we are right now, because we talk about education, we talk about entrepreneurship, what has happened is that over time, like you said, that that genetic mental divide in
Mm-hmm.
us, it just moves on, moving. So we are angry. We are angry with each other about protection. We're angry, like, why aren't you here in the same place with me? Why can't I find this person? And again, now we're still fighting. We're still fighting. We're asking each other the same exact questions. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lost my thought what I was trying to say earlier with the other thing. But if we take it to 2022 now, where we have people with Black women, higher educated, entrepreneurship, and then we say, oh, well, the dating pool sucks
Mm-hmm.
because we spent all this time trying to work on us, and the Black man wasn't there, and so we're also walking around with chips on our shoulder. That's the point I was trying to make. We're also walking
And
around with,
because we did all these things in order to get you, black
exactly,
man, to be
exactly.
more
It is
marketable for you, black man.
it's
So
they,
guess what?
and
When
they have to coexist. The reality is they coexist. Although as much as I want this Black man, the reality is, you know, for black women that are walking around with that chip on their shoulder
yeah, bec-
about, why aren't you here? Why can't I find you? And then we're arguing about stupid stuff at this point. We're arguing about um things that, because you can't say exactly what you want.
mhm.
Black
you
women
don't
can't.
you don't you
Black
you
women,
feel like you're gonna be weak if you do. And sometimes, guess what?
that could be
It,
true, but you also not being vulnerable.
but guess what? If it takes that to rebuild for you to be stronger and better, then just do it. For those that are Christians, Romans said, you cast all old things are passed away. You become a new creature in me. So then, therefore, it's just like, guess what? If it's something that's just a structure that was already there, and now I got to tear it down brick by brick by brick, it's a painful process because
Mm-hmm.
it was painstaking to even make it. So now, if I got to knock it down, rebuild, clear out everything, I ain't using no old material to build what is new. Then you got to go through the painstaking process of building it up. But is it worth it? Is it worth it right now? To me, it is so much worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very much worth it because Corinthians, she was like, she's exploring the opportunity to date outside of her race. I have a cousin, she's married outside of her race, but she's killing it. She started her own business and everything like that. And then from that, her kids are doing it, but they see what she has done.
Right.
So guess what? That motivates her daughters to do some of the same thing her nieces to do. But then you still have extended family members. Like, guess what? She can do it because I already know her history. And a lot of times our history ain't that different from where we at geographically and from different family. It's just like, where was it? Where was the country and black people 40 years ago? Where were they 80 years ago? Guess what? A lot of us, it just can't, it happened on your street.
And I
But
think that you bringing up even that point is so significant. Like, where black people have been. A lot of, again, since this is where the conversation has gone, a lot of people stayed together for
mhm,
students. They stayed together because of money. They stayed together because this is what you do. Because that is how
mhm,
you amass wealth. That's how you were able to have, like, I mean, my great grandmother. She had a house. Like, she was married when she got this house. My great grandmother could not read. She didn't go
mhm,
past fourth grade.
yeah,
She was able to have it when she had a husband.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that she wouldn't have. No, she wouldn't have been able to do that if she didn't have a husband. Like, and that's just be
no,
real about it. So
mhm,
that also plays a part in where we are because, and I'm not taking away from relationships saying people didn't have loving relationships, but if these are a lot of relationships based on convenience and based on, because also don't want to downplay black marriages and relationships, but let's just be real. Was the love present? Was the love seen? Or did the children see it? Because that's what we're talking about. We're not even talking about these. We're talking about the descendants of these relationships that over time, how they handled each other, how were they in front of their kids, how their kids then were with their partners, and how they're with their partners moving forward and onward. Like, we are in a space now where all of those things don't matter. Like,
yeah,
I bought my first house when I was 24. I didn't have to wait to get married to buy a house, you know,
mhm,
and that wasn't the case for my great grandmother. That wasn't the case for my grandmother. My grandmother in California, she, like, every time she hears about one of us doing something, she's like, I'm just so happy to hear you girls doing these things. Because
and
she's 3 years old. She remembered, like, that's not what you were doing.
you know what? And since you said that, a lot of times we remember our grandparents if people they've been fortunate enough to see their grandparents in those marriages or their great grandparents. A lot of times, the stories that are told about them was that it could be something that they told that one-on-one relationship with each individual child or something like that. Nobody ever really talk about a whole lot about the relationship in which they seen with their partner. So because of that, and then when you look at it, because Corinthians, she said, white moms teach their daughters how to get and quote unquote keep a man. Black women teach their daughters how to survive without one. And when you think about it, it does go back to the plantation. It's survival. Like we have been in surviving mode since we were stolen.
And if
Like
we always acting like, I gotta know how to handle this if you gone,
I ain't gonna know how to do it when you
how am I
here.
showing you my love to keep you? Now, I ain't on, let's be clear. I ain't on that. I'm gonna pack your bags when you come home, baby. I'm not unpacking your bag. I don't unpack my bags when I travel. Okay. However, but if the focus is our mentality is I have to be prepared if you're not here,
Mm-hmm.
how do I then focus on loving you?
Exactly. And this is not being prepared. Let me make sure that I'm on your insurance. I know what your insurance policies and stuff is, that you got a will. Not that type of stuff, because you can see a whole lot of people, they be together and they still gotta have a damn GoFundMe page when somebody die. And I am so sick of them. Get you some
It's not
insurance. Get you some, because it's really not about I'm being prepared when you go and you transition out of this living life. This is you not here. You still on this earth. You breathing, but you with somebody else. I'm with somebody else. It's like, let me be prepared for when you not here and we not as a couple. Not that you dead and you gone.
right.
That's
Now,
that's two
and I,
different things.
and it's twofold because to be honest, although I feel like the focus should be love,
Mm-hmm.
there I can't I'm not gonna shake the idea that baby I gotta be prepared.
Yes, but I
So
can
so
already I can
it comes
prepare
from a
like.
place of trauma. And you, when our mothers,
Mm-hmm.
when my grandmother was pregnant with my mom, I was inside of my grandmother.
Yep.
That's true for everybody. Women are born with all their eggs. And
Yep.
the point I'm trying to make when we talk about the trauma of the trauma of someone leaving you and being prepared for them to leave.
Mm-hmm.
That is like a constant state of trauma. That's a constant state of anxiety. If you think about it,
Yes.
from the beginning to the end when it don't happen, or to the
Mm-hmm.
beginning or to the point where it does happen. It's like
Yeah.
where and when do we make room for the love? We have to. People do. But is that the answer to the piss in the pool? That well, if we're gonna get some of the piss out the pool, the pool out the pool, that we have to make more room for love?
Yeah.
I don't know, man, you know?
I mean, I honestly don't know, but I do know this. In order to make room for love, to love someone else, we got to first love ourselves. And
Right.
you have to get to the point where I remember in 2016, because a lot of people, they say, hey, I'm not dating, I'm working on me. Well, what are you actively doing? So I know in 2016, I every day I will watch the YouTube video, a sermon about marriage, divorce, dating, single parent dating, whatever. And it was this 4-part series about this pastor. And I cannot find this series for nothing in the world. So obviously it must have just been for me. So it's this girl, she was she was part of this congregation and she kind of questioned her faith in the end. So she stopped going to church altogether. She was away at college. So she was doing some type of volunteer event and she met this guy while he was there. She called her mom and was like, oh my God, I think I found the one. He this, he that, he did that. Her mama had told her, said, that type of man ain't gonna like nobody like you. She devastated. So then, cause she was hurt, she go back to her pastor start going back because now, and it was like, you have to be the type of person that you want to be with. And that was the key. And I was like, am I the type of person that I want to be with? And the answer, it didn't take me 0 time. Nope. Because at that point, I wanted to know everything about you, the good, bad, the ugly, the indifferent. However, I would piecemeal what I felt that you could handle about knowing about me. But
Mhm.
then that was the same type of person that I would attract. Like, why you ain't tell me that I could have handled it? I done been through X, Y, and Z. I done did X, Y, Z, all this other kind of stuff. And it was just like, am I the type of person that I would like to be with? And it got to the point where it's just like, okay, I'm peeling back these layers, peeling back these layers. And it got to a point where I didn't even want to look at myself. And it's like, until you get to that point, not that you like, you don't want to look at yourself, but it's like at that point, you really see you. You
Right.
really see everything, the nitty gritty this stuff. Because I know sometimes when we do communion, said, Lord, please forgive me of those sins that I have labored so to hide from my own memory. And
And
it's the stuff like
omission. Those
that right there, where it's like it's things that you labor and you lied to yourself in order to be like, I'm all right, I'm good, whatever. And it's like, but you're not, because it's going to show up some kind of way. And it's like, and if you are taking a setback, what are you doing to work on yourself? Are you just not dating? Because a lot of people, that's what they say, well, I'm working on me. You're not working on you, you just
just
ain't out there.
right. You
Hey,
know,
you, yeah.
Corinthians says, what's love got to do with it? And I would say this. When I'm speaking of that, I'm talking about people that want it. Like, again, what we talked about in the beginning, you have to know what you want. And I know what type of relationship I want. And I want a relationship in love. I don't want a relationship that's just about contracts. Marriage. And I agree, marriage is a piece of paper. Generally speaking, it is. Because there's a lot of people who are married and it's just a piece of paper because they act very different with that. So it's not about choosing love over money or anything like that. But I guarantee you, this is one thing I will say, because we started talking about black women and white men. I bet they got love because there's no competition. They got the money, they have the education. So they have room for love.
And Corinthians, she made that comment about a little while back and said um, that with white men and black women, that black men, they want to have all of the power, whereas white men look at, well, you came with your own power, but they confident in the power that they have. Like the power that I have as a white man, I know that you can't possess that as
Right.
being a black woman, but I'm not gonna do on what you have. Like it's a plus.
Well, the
It is
point we're trying to make though is if we're talking about that dynamic, what love has to do with it, and then the dynamic of a black woman and a white man in that paradigm. We're talking about the because there's
yes, it was like the power couples where they look at, we are a power
what
dynamic
my point
together.
I'm trying to make is that because they're there, they've made room for love because
Hmm.
there's no competition.
Yes.
So the point I'm making is there is a need to make room for love. If that's the relationship you want. If I mean there's people. No, they're all about I want this, and this how you handle me, and this how it will be, and that is what they want. They don't want the emotional piece. They maybe want the camaraderie. They want the companionship. I wouldn't even say even with companionship you start love. I mean, I love you. You my friend. You're a
Yeah.
companion. So so I think, and that's the point I'm making when I say making room for
Hmm.
love. We have to make room for love in our relationships, and not as black women and not just I gotta prepare myself for you to leave. Because
Yes,
if that's
and
where
we
we
have to
are,
definitely.
if that's at that front of our mind, then that is the energy we're giving off.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to go, bye.
Doodles.
And that's a real feeling. And
It is.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. It's an interesting dynamic, right? Because we still have to be prepared. I think
Yes, and
reality
it's not one of those things
don't
of.
give that energy.
And when you think about it, it's two separate things, because it's like you do have some people that literally have a fear of being alone. Like, I don't have nobody. Like, I'm not in a relationship. We all know some people are just like, oh, they just got to be in a relationship under whatever cost. But then also that preparedness to be without you. But those are two separate different things, where it's not just like, oh, okay, I'm scared to be without you. They ain't preparing to be without you. It's like, I'm trying to do everything to be with you. And I think that can get to be real, real scary too, because when you look at a lot of different things, um, especially on this show called Snap, a lot of times it is like that, where they just really can't see life without them, and then they snap where it's just like, well, I can't have you, nobody can. And I think it teeters totters on that type of thing. Um, but just one example of like Serena Williams. She's married to a successful white man. A lot of people gave her a lot of backlash, but see, they forget when she used to go with Drake and she would go to the video, to see him perform. She in the background arguing with other people because he's still messing around with other folks. But people, they forget how he embarrassed her and wonder how many other people that she had been embarrassed by publicly.
But I mean,
Not saying that pushed her
I don't think
to
she
that.
chose the white man based on that.
Yes, but at the same time, she probably had dated other white men before, considering being in that tennis space. You was dominant. You two was the only two, or you was just a few of many that was out there, and but nobody had embarrassed you to that aspect. And it's like, now you see her with her husband, clip, they happy.
Mm-hmm.
They are very happy. You look at the rapper Eve. She's married to a multi-billionaire. He already had been married, had children. They just welcomed their son not too long ago. But she dated people in the industry and stuff like that. Even when it came out, like with Love and Hip Hop with Stevie J, she was like, I wish I could say that he wasn't that type of person, but he had solo sex tape with them. Look at who, like, my own people who I want to be with you. Look at what you have done. And sometimes some people, they do get tired. Where it's just like, you know what? I'm finna open up to see what else is out there. And then sometimes what else is out there that fits what you want is that you look at what it is, love at first sight. They don't necessarily base it off of race. Some people say it's important to them, but then those that don't, a lot of times they get paired up with somebody that's not, but that's who they on the same page as them,
Right.
the same exact page. And it's like, does it matter that their skin color look like you, or does everything else matters more? So, yep. So it's very, very layered for us as
I,
being African
I think it
Americans.
is, and again, I'm not saying don't date outside your race. I'm not saying that black men, don't have work to do, but we have work to do too. And I
Yes.
think it's just important that we remember all of those dynamics. I'm definitely
Yeah.
not saying don't be prepared. Um, you should have some type of, and it's horrible, right? You should have some type of exit strategy. I don't think an exit strategy. I think when you get into a relationship, there should be something that of substance of yourself. That's that whole working on yourself, especially
Mhm.
we're 40 years old. Talking
Yeah.
to people our age, around in our demographic. There should be something that you have for yourself
It
that
is.
or without a man, you're fine.
And you should be very, very sure of yourself, because if you're this age and you're single, be it because divorce, you haven't, whatever, it should be no games playing. State as my uncle says, state it off the muscle and say it with your chest.
And if you
What
don't
I
know what you want, that's okay. Figure it out.
and sometimes if you say that at the beginning, you ain't even missed them but 5 minutes. Literally, sometimes after that first date, you already know. What have you invested? What you invested?
Now, I will say this for those dating who are like, I'm casually dating right now, and casual, you get casual date with a purpose, but for figuring out what it is you want. You don't know what you want. Take a note from our sis, Lori Harvey. Now, she's younger.
Yeah.
Okay, she's younger, but the note you can take from that is if you say, I'm going to set up this time to figure out what I want. So I'm going to casually date. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
get online to figure out what it is you want and what you don't want. And some people may say, well, I don't have time like I did when I was 20. Well, or you could just not know what you want. You keep wasting your time in relationships.
Uh-huh.
So if you don't know what you want, just date. Be honest with people and say, I'm just casually dating. I'm trying to figure out what I want. And you date people, you figure, I don't like that. Now you might, there may be something about someone you're like, oh, you know what? I don't like that, but I like this. And so as you figure out what you want based on experience, and I mean, to be honest, that's the only way you really know. That's really, you only know based on experience either you've had or you've seen other people. Because you could look
Mhm.
at some relationships, you might not know the details of it, but like, you know what? The way he care for her, the way he show up for her, at least what I see, that's what I want.
Right.
And
Based off of the information that you're given
yeah,
and that you
and then
see.
start figuring out what it is that you want. And I think that starts clearing some of the muck in the pool for you because your pool is going to be based on what it is you want. Now, take some of my own advice. To be honest, I'm not married and I desire to be married. Everybody who wants a relationship doesn't necessarily want to be married. So let's just
True.
be honest about that. But people, even if you don't, if marriage is not the end goal, if a committed partnership is whatever your end goal is, you have to figure out what that looks like for you.
Hmm.
And I think even in your singleness, because what I can say, even in my singleness, I know what it is I want. So how I used to be, I'm
Hmm.
not that way anymore. Like, what's wrong with it? No, because I'm pretty sure of myself and I'm pretty sure of what the things that I want. So I'm really not gonna waste my time. The time that I waste, sometimes I waste time on purpose because I just want, things that wasting my time gets me.
But at least you are aware of it versus some people they wake up and was like, my time has been wasted and that never was their intent.
Right.
And one thing, time is no one friend. It is something that no one can get back. When it's gone, it is gone. And that is one thing that does not um, you know, just everything Corinthians said, there's a reason Jesus didn't get married. That's a whole lesson in itself. And one of the his disciples asked him, is it better to marry than not to marry? And he addressed that. And it was just talking about, the will of God, because like once you become married, there is obligations that you have to family and to your mate that has to come first in those earthly realms. So other things are definitely put on the back burner and stuff. And you know, Erica said, I wouldn't mind being married but not live together. Corinthians 10, me too, Erica. But there are some people that are married and they're bi-coastal. One of them stay on the East Coast, the other one stay on the West Coast. They have their time where, set up where they go and then they meet up and they see one another and it works for them. But guarantee it was set down that this is what I want.
Yeah,
This
and
is
that goes back to the being honest and being upfront. It doesn't mean that I don't want this commitment. It just means I need time to myself and by myself, and I don't want you here all the time. So how can we make that work? What does that look like? And for the couples that works, it's because they talked about it.
and they wanted to be together. That because I remember like Bernie Mac, he had been married for quite some time, and he was people always on his interviews would ask him like, how y'all end up staying together? He was like, oh, you gotta really like him. Like love fades, it comes and goes. He was like, but I like this person. It's like I really really like her. Like I wanted to have this life with her. It was a want to. Guess what? It's not a day that goes by that I'm not sharing my 24-hour experience with this person. That is something that I desired and I wanted to do.
And I think something you just said that I think that's part is important. And a lot of times people get in relationships without trying to build the friendship. And again, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what your end goal is, if you're trying to be in a relationship that's more than casual, okay? Because casual is just casual. Like casual, you're not having these conversations if you casual. If you
No.
casually dating every week, you going out with somebody else because you just want to have a good time. Or you have a certain person that you link up with. Sometimes you go on trips, but y'all not really together. Then that's what you. If that's what you want, that's what you want. That's what you do. So people having these conversations, they want something significant, whether it's marriage or just a partnership. Um, and the friendship piece is important. And I think that when it comes up, I keep bringing it back to that pool. A lot of time, the P in the pool is a checkoff list because we have this list of things, and friendship not on that list. I want the man
Yes.
this.
But some people, as I just typed in the comment section, some people, everybody wants a friend. Everybody do not know how to be a friend. And if you really, and I'm going to tell you this, It bothers me because I have in my dating of the last 10 years, when it's like, oh, do you have a best friend? How many people said that they don't have no best friend? I ain't got no friends. You ain't got not one person that you can be 100% honest with. Now, sometimes some people be like, well, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's one of my cousins. And I guess they don't label them as a friend because they family member. But you still have that one person who you can be completely vulnerable with, and whatever your conversation is, it doesn't go further than that. It ain't gonna be something they gonna bring back up at the reunion or the next family get together. But then some people are like, I ain't got nobody, absolutely nobody. Guess what? I ain't finna be your doggone friend on that level, because you ain't even never been that quote unquote naked with somebody. At this level of the game, where it's like, I look at me and Shay friendship, this started, I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our friendship has stood the test of time. It has went through its different phases, as we have went through different phases and stuff of life. But it's like, you ain't had nobody that you call your friend even 5 years, let alone 10 years. Guess what? Relationship, any type of relationship ain't your thing, but it's you. It's something with you personally, because it's like, how you gonna want to quote unquote be my best friend, but you ain't been to somebody else's best friend.
And I think, like, even going back to that, well, no, going back to again the whole list, right? If you want a friendship, I think that even helps you to better define what it is you want and you don't want. Because with a friendship, like you and I are friends, when there are certain things that I might have a list of what a friend looks like to me. And sometimes you might not look like that to me. And sometimes I might not look like that way to you, because we're friends and because we love each other. There's a grace there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the benefit of the friendship. And again, when I was talking about that whole where's the love factor, maybe that's where that the room for making room for love is in
Mm-hmm.
the friendship part, in
Mm-hmm.
the friendship. Because in building the friendship, like you said, the vulnerability, then you're open, then you can trust more. And then there's less and less pee in this pot of relationship that you're now trying to create with someone. Maybe. And I think that's a great question. Because if somebody don't know, people don't know how to be a friend, it's like, well, you may not know how to be vulnerable with me. Because
And
you
think about this,
with someone.
just as a whole, people, they will trust you more with their physical health. I mean, they'll lay down with you, they don't know you, they'll lay down with you unprotected sex, versus they're gonna trust you with their feelings. I can repair my ego, I can repair my feelings, I can overcome that, but I can't always repair what happens physically to me.
Mhm.
You can catch something that you can't get rid of, or you do end up get tied with this person, and you may have a child with them, and you don't even like them, and then you see a lot of things that your child do that's that's exhibited with them, and it's like, man, I hate this. And I understand how some people, they can absolutely hate their child because they hate their parent, the other parent, and then they acting like them and they looking like them, because it'd be different little stuff. When my son was little, the little faces that he would make, I would be so unaware. It's like, boy, you just don't know. I done seen that face of your daddy. That's your daddy face. I already know some BS finna come. You finna tell one, or you want something. You're running scams or whatever like that. And it's just like, I shut it down. But I could see how some people, you didn't take that time. And I do know that sometimes people get into relationships. I myself, I don't say I'm guilty of it, because I don't feel like it's a guilt or innocence to it, that I've gotten into relationships and I didn't build a friendship with the person. The relationship didn't go. And one of my relationships, I remember the guy said, well, we still friends. And I said, no, we not. I said, we didn't build no friendship. And then he was just like,
Like we
what
wasn't.
you mean you might not my friend? I'm not your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I wanted to be your girlfriend. That didn't work out. So guess what? We nothing. Well, I want to be close to you. Well, what you want to be, my cousin? Cause shit, you being my friend ain't on the table. Like, I don't want to be friends with nobody like you. Like, I already seen how you was in a friendship, in this relationship. Like, no, I still want to be close. What about? So that's how that went. But you know, and sometimes relationships, they bloom and they blossom, and the friendship bloom and blossom at the same time. And I think those things can happen simultaneously, organically, but then sometimes it has to be intentional. I hate when some people like, well, I don't want to put no name on it or whatever like that. I just want it to happen organically. Guess what? If you graduated from high school and you knew you wanted to be a lawyer, it just didn't happen organically because you just can't go and apply to be no lawyer. You have to already plan out, guess what? I need to go to these schools. These schools, they heavily recruited by this law school. It is very, very defined, detailed. This is what I want to do. So how does that can be to secure your financial future? All these different type of things. People, they don't take that stance when it come down to kids. When I want kids to just come out and they just nice to everybody. Well, guess what? If you don't teach them how to be nice, they are going to run amok. You know, so it's just like relationships is the same thing. You have to be intentional in where you're going with them. It's like, well,
Right.
you know, just whatever gonna happen. I done been in them situations. I know where they gonna go. Nowhere quick.
And let's be honest. At the end of the day, you got to be honest about the person you dating.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like I only want this type of man, then that's the type of man you need to date. Period. And you
Yeah.
feel like this is the only type of woman I want, then that's the only. Now, if you can't get that type of man and you can't get that type of woman, then maybe you need to do some self reflection and figure out, okay, where's the disconnect? And when I say the type of man, if you only want a man that is educated, then you need to be honest with yourself. Don't say I only want to date a man that has a higher education, but then you dating somebody who only graduated from high school. Like you're setting yourself up for a problem.
And then sometimes where are you at in proximity to find these people that's like that? Also, I mean, granted, you can meet anybody at the Walmart just coming and going because people, they are busy, they're going about their own lives and stuff like that. But a lot of times it is proximity. Where you gonna meet these people at? You
Well, you
know,
have to
like
go where they are. I mean, that's the whole point, though. If that's what you want, you have to go where they are, and don't just continue to date people that don't qualify for the type of person you want to be with. That's a waste.
mhm.
That's a waste of your time, and that's a waste of their time.
Exactly. And then also, I remember one time I was watching this YouTube show where this girl, she was talking about when she used to work at in a dental hygienist position or as a dental office or whatever like that. I think she was just like a receptionist, but the doctor was feeling her. Everybody could know, and then it was like you ought to holler at him and everything like that. And then she was just like, "No, he's out of my league." And people like, "You are not think like that." But she said that she was looking at this man. He is literally have me on his payroll as well as other people. He has put in the work to be where he's at right now. She was like, I was still on the bus. She was like, I barely had, you know, reliable childcare. She's like, I was no way. She said, and it wasn't about being financially secure and knowing what I wanted to be. She said, my life was a wreck. She said, and I wanted to be more stable instead of feeling like, she was like, this man does not need this chaos in his life because she's looked at what she brought,
Right.
you know, and
And to
she
be
was just like,
honest, that's him or any other man. To be honest,
yes, but
not
she
just
was
this man,
honest, right?
specifically that's this man, but she need to bring that to any man.
Right. And she was looking at like she has to get some other things, some clarity about herself, who she was, because she was like, I was all over the place. She said, I didn't even have reliable, you know, place to stay. She was like, yes, he could have had taken all of that away. She was like, and that would have been fine. She was like, but that was not what she wanted to go into anything at, because she was like, I know I'm better than this. She was like, but I was all over the place. She said, fast forward, you know, things start, she started getting clarity or whatever like that, and now she's a business owner. She had her daughter very, very young, and she was still like in her mid-30s, but her child was like in their early 20s. Like she had a baby when she was like 13, 14 years old. She's like, people don't realize. She said, I had to deal with that trauma. She said, and that was trauma. She was like, do you think I was trying to have a baby at 14 years old? And when you think about it, most people, they're not. So she just knew it was some things about her where it's just like, it wasn't just like, oh, okay, this person can save you. It was like, he can't save me. I got to get my stuff together. Now she's a multimillionaire with whatever she's selling and stuff, but she just knew for the type of life that she wanted to have herself. She did not want, she said, I couldn't piggyback off of somebody else's lifestyle. She said, because that wasn't what I wanted. She said, I wanted my own. But then now she was like, they are very, very cool. They're good friends. She was like, and she realized had they dated, and so she would have been still trapped in a situation that she really didn't want to be in.
Right. Because what she wanted for herself, although she may have wanted a relationship, because that just because you know that it's not the time for a relationship doesn't mean you don't want it. She knew that she wanted something else in her life. And, just to kind of wrap up everything that we've been talking about, I think that is the big takeaway of how we get the piss out the pool. First of all, we
Mhm.
stop pissing in it our damn self.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly.
All have to stop. And that comes with accountability of what we are bringing to the table. That comes with knowing what it is you want, knowing who you are, what it is you want in a relationship in and of itself, and what do you want in a mate. Whatever
Mhm.
that mate may be, a marriage, a partner, whatever. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Take accountability for the piss you putting in the pool.
Yeah. And work literally do the work to work on you. We all have some type of trauma from somewhere, even if they spawn from generations back, just growing up being black in this United States. There's certain awarenesses that we need of ourselves. So we definitely need to do that. So
Well, I
yeah,
think it's been a great conversation.
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I definitely appreciate everybody who's tuning in live with us and giving us that feedback. It was awesome, 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 awesome. I enjoyed
Yes.
the conversation a lot. I feel like we got a lot of other topics out of this conversation for us
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
to.
Yes, we thank you for watching with us. We thank you for your contributions and stuff. We don't necessarily have to stop the conversation. You can always still message us, email us at the 40, the number 40, spot at gmail.com. Any type of topics, even if it's different stuff, you know, that you was kind of shy and you didn't want to say anything, or even if you're listening on a replay, you can always do that. You can always message us, DM us, or email us. So um now we're gonna get into celebrating July birthdays. July.
Yes, we are so happy to be able to say Happy July, girl. It is we in the summer. Can you believe it?
We all the way in the summer.
All the way summertime.
100-degree weather.
Just want to celebrate a couple people. One of our listeners, Robin, she had a birthday. Happy birthday,
Birthday.
girl. And I want to give a shout out to my dad. Today is his birthday. So happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to him. I have a couple. Kalia, she's one of my god babies. She only turned 8 years old, but guess what? Here at the 40 spot, we love the kids. So we want to definitely celebrate her, and her life has just been a testament in itself. My cousin Shay, she celebrated her birthday last week, but now she is 40
Oh,
years
welcome
old. So we want to welcome her
to
to the 40 spots. And my cousin Jackie, she just made it out of her 40s, but guess what? She's still young at heart. So definitely want to celebrate her. Also, Fernette said that her grandson Jeffrey or Joffrey Jr. His birthday is tomorrow. He will be 2 years
too,
old.
Jeffrey.
Yes. And who is Ronald Bell? Say your dad Earth Day birthday. I don't know if someone
My
just was
dad.
saying. Oh, okay.
Happy birthday.
Okay. I didn't see like okay, I knew that.
He's telling me my dad. Yes, I know my dad's
Yes.
birthday today.
Like, don't you
Well, we
forget.
want to say thank you. Happy birthday to everyone in the month of July. We would love to celebrate with you. Please send us your name and your date of birth. We don't need a year, but just the month and the day so that we can celebrate you. You can email
Yeah.
us at b40spot@gmail.com, and we will be happy to celebrate with you.
Yes.
All right, all
Yes.
right.
And also, I would like to, it's a celebration of life. I know a lot of people may have witnessed, seen it on their timelines this week about Mr. Vernon Winfrey, who is Oprah Winfrey's father. He passed away. He was a personal friend of mine, just a great spirit and everything. And he was monumental in the things that he did for the Nashville community, the Black community in itself. Like, he just an awesome person. But we just want to celebrate his life as he transitioned to be with the ancestors. And I know that he's a good person that was welcomed with warm arms on the other side, because he did good. He did good. And no sadness here. It was a joy to have known him in this earthly realm, and just a wealth of knowledge. So I just appreciate the things that he poured into my life, um, information, and just words to live by, and guide me through to the next thing. So we just want to celebrate his life as he's transitioned on.
It is definitely amazing to have been such an impact to so many people's lives. I'm like, so as we said before, I used to live in Nashville, so I'm friends with a lot of people in Nashville on Facebook, and like so many people have like posted different tributes to him, and you just see the impact that he made on the Nashville community. With his barbershop, and just people talked about the talks he gave, and one
Yes.
person was like, he used to mess up my got to a point he messed up my hair all the time, but I just like going to him. Going to him and talking to him. So I think that is amazing to have lived such a life that you have
Oh
blessed
yes.
and impact so many. So we definitely want to celebrate his life, and keep the Winfrey family in our prayers.
Yes. Yes. So again, we thank you. This topic went for a long time, but it's so much to unpack. As we said, we got other topics, and we will be talking to you all about these other topics. But please like, comment, subscribe, share. Repost the live video on your pages. Share the video amongst other people. So when you're driving, just listen. If not, later on in the week when we upload to anywhere you get your podcast, you can just listen to the audio. So listen to us, and we still keep the conversation going. So you can still comment to us, email us, all of that. And if you want to support us, we're on Cash App.
And remember,
Dollars.
it's at B40 spot, B40 spot.
Yes. So until next time, two
Yeah,
weeks from now,
2 weeks
two.
from now. But what we want you to do is don't forget to rest. It is
Yes.
the birthright. We thank you for listening. We thank you for being with us today. We thank you for those on the replay for listening and laughing and commenting.
Yes.
Um, until next time, y'all have a wonderful week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye bye.